Us very shortly, but first let's get a news update and say good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Care being urged on the roads this morning right across the northwest. Large amounts of surface water on several roads in the region. Flooding reported in the vicinity of the Polestar and Dry Arch roundabouts in Letterkenny, as well as on the dual carriageway on the way into town. Also hearing that there is flooding on the Calais side of Newton Cunningham, that road impassable. Gardaí say there is surface water on all roads in the county. Increased caution needed in all areas. In Derry, the Clooney Road is closed between Greysteel and the City Airport roundabout due to flooding. Lots of water as well on the road between Strabane and Derry. Motorists all over the region, as we say, urged to take extreme care. A man and woman have been killed in a road crash near Castleblaney in County Monaghan. Another person is critical after the collision, which involved two cars and a lorry. With more detail, here's Cliona O'Dwyer.
The crash happened when a lorry and two cars collided on the N2 at Mullaghany at around 6:15 yesterday evening. A man and woman in their 60s who were in one of the cars were pronounced dead at the scene. A woman in her 60s who was a passenger in the second car was taken to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda to be treated for her injuries, which are critical. Gardaí are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Any road users who may have camera footage and were travelling on the N2 at Castleblaney between 6:05 and 6:30 yesterday evening are asked to contact Gardaí.
Transport Infrastructure Ireland doesn't always get it right. That's according to Councillor Michael McBride, who's called on the TII to re-examine the possibility of including a climbing lane on the N56 in the Bluebanks area near Kilmacrennan. He says while the works carried out on the route have greatly enhanced the road, an issue does remain in traffic, and Councillor McBride believes action can be taken to remedy that.
You reach the point there where the blue banks for the corners, where there's a steep gradient there going up the hill. I see it all the time. I use that road myself nearly every day of the week. You see long tailbacks of traffic behind slow vehicles. It's actually, whenever they get to the top of the hill, people then are looking to try and pass, and there's oncoming traffic. And I always think myself that the TII got that wrong. I think there should be a climbing lane there on the left-hand side. And if they can't put on the climbing lane, there's loads of space there to put in an area just along the side of the road where slow-moving vehicles can pull in.
It's widely expected that the Northern Secretary Chris Heaton-Harris will today confirm a fresh Stormont election will take place on December 15th. The announcement expected at lunchtime after the midnight deadline passed for the formation of a new Stormont executive. The DUP adamant they will not nominate ministers until their issues with the post-Brexit protocol have been addressed. And the Cathaoirleach of Lifford Stranorlar Municipal District says there has been very positive feedback after a pilot retrofitting scheme was carried out in the district. Councillor Patrick McGowan says 3 housing schemes in the Lifford and Castlefin areas have been provided with retrofitted air-to-water heating and updated insulation, as well as home wiring. He says there is a potential now for that scheme to be rolled out in other areas of the county.
That's something was piloted here in the Lifford Stranorlar area, and next year then we'll be looking then to put in place Belfast, Nora, Castlefin, Drumkeen, just extended around the whole area. Obviously the rest of the county too as well will be looking, that's the way forward now. When you bring something new and a new system of heating and that, there are challenges, and it will take a long time to bring in, but reports back were positive.
The worst of the heavy rain appears to be past, but there will be more rain and showers over the course of the day. Flooding in many areas, as we said in the bulletin. Please do take care. Met Éireann tell us that rain will continue to clear through the morning with sunny spells developing. Scattered showers will follow this afternoon and evening. Some of those showers heavy, moderate to fresh southwest winds today. Top temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Hey, send a voice note because I can't be bothered typing. But anyone else hear about the HSE's new free contraception?
No way. Like the pill for free?
So it's... Oh, sorry, phone slipped. Yeah, the pill, the patch, the coil, loads of them. My mum was only reading about it on a HSE website. Doctors' visits, prescriptions and procedures, all free for 17 to 25-year-olds.
That's deadly. What website?
Sexualwellbeing.ie. And here, did you hear about Alex and Ryan?
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's just turning 5 minutes past 9 on this Friday the 28th of October 2022. How are you keeping? I do hope you're well. And we're going to be introducing our panel for you for this morning, but we want you involved in the conversation as well. Your WhatsApps and your texts to 086 60 25000, 086 60 25000, or calls to 07491 25000. And just a reminder, you can watch today's show on our website. Click Watch Live on highlandradio.com, or go straight to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or across our Facebook pages. Okay, let's say hello then to the people we are going to be speaking to for the next hour. We'll say good morning first to Dr. Peter O'Rourke, former orthopaedic surgeon. Good morning to you, Peter. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Richard Logue, project manager in Transport London. Good to have you back on the show, Richard.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Greg.
And last but not least, of course, Senator Lisa Chambers, Fianna Fáil group leader and spokesperson on European and Foreign Affairs. Good morning, Lisa.
Morning, Greg. Morning, everyone.
I'll start with you first, if that's all right, Lisa. Just a quick word on the front page of the Irish Times today. There has been a poll carried out to see what the Irish people think of our support of what's happening in Ukraine and our hosting of refugees. Ireland and EU must continue to stand by Ukraine, even if this means energy shortages, was the question. 72% agreed with that. Is that a figure that surprises you? You welcome that figure, Lisa?
I'm not a bit surprised. I think the Irish people have been extremely generous and have shown huge solidarity to the people of Ukraine. You know, thousands of people have opened up their homes. Many more thousands have volunteered to just help them to get set up and integrate into the communities, help their children get into school, get people employed. So there's been an incredible response. When you think that, you know, we're up on, I think, about 48,000 now in the country, all accommodated by the state, and more than that than accommodated overall. You know, that's a colossal amount of people in the last 7 months coming into the country. And I think the Irish people have responded in the way that we would have expected. You know, they've been extremely kind, generous and empathetic. And I think there's just a real feeling of sorrow for what they're going through and what they've come from. And remember, you've got mainly women and children coming here who've left their partners, their husbands behind, their fathers behind. It's actually hard to imagine what they're going through. And then landing into a new country, having to start from scratch with nothing is just... you know, it's extremely difficult. I think the Irish people appreciate that, you know, we may not be on the front line of this war, but there is war in Europe. We haven't had this since 1945. I think people realise what's at stake in terms of the bigger picture. And Putin wants us to fracture. Putin wants us to start thinking about us versus them, and wants us to become, you know, I suppose, looking inwards as opposed to outwards. And that hasn't happened. And that's been to our great credit across all member states, I think. And that is making it more difficult for Putin to keep his hold and to keep pursuing this illegal, undemocratic invasion of Ukraine. So,
and of course, there's an awful lot of focus on his strategy within Ukraine, understandably, because that is where the war is focused. But I mean, this is a strategy that he has to upset the global balance, to displace people, to create you know, the type of conversations that are happening in Ireland as it relates to how many refugees are here. On that, 61% of the same people asked thought there were too many refugees coming to Ireland. So he sees the relationships between the likes of the United States and China. He sees what's happening in North Korea. You know, as I say, the analysis often focuses on what's happening in Ukraine, but this is I would argue, this is a global operation by he to either unsettle things or tip the balance of power or disrupt or whatever his motivation might be.
Absolutely. I mean, it was planned. The timing of cutting off the gas line, you know, Europe imports 40% of its gas from Russia. We're down now to 9%. We haven't been able to, I suppose, you know, make up the loss by importing it from elsewhere. So there is a shortage of gas in Europe currently. That's why the prices are going through the roof. And that's why we're seeing messaging across not just Ireland, but every single member state. You will see messaging asking people to reduce their consumption, to try and use a little bit less energy, because we know that there's going to be a challenge on the system. So that's what he wants. He wants us to start thinking about us versus them and start to think inward and to fracture world relations. But that hasn't happened. And I think that people see the bigger picture. They know what his game is. And, you know, when you think of this time last year, we had 7,500 people seeking international protection. we're nearly at 50,000 now. That's the scale of the increase. And every other country in Europe is having the same conversations we're having around energy, around housing, around getting people into schools, into employment, and integrating people into our communities. So those pressures are being felt across the board. And it is a challenge, and I think we have to acknowledge people have done a lot have had a lot to deal with here in Ireland to deal with that, but they've been incredibly generous, and I think we can be very proud of our response to date.
Richard Logue, what's your view on these figures? 72% believe Ireland and the EU must continue to stand by Ukraine, even if this means energy shortages. I'm not sure if it's contradictory, but anyway, a net result of that is taking in refugees. 61% believe there are too many refugees coming into Ireland.
I think the issue is that, first off, we've got to show solidarity with Ukraine. And I would actually unpack or separate the whole idea of the energy crisis versus the whole issue of Ukrainian refugees. We've had a long history of taking people in this country, certainly in recent years, and we should show solidarity with Ukrainians. I'm resident in Britain, and I don't believe the British have actually done as much as they could have done. But I think the fact is that, how best can we support Ukraine? And I think, given our history of military neutrality, I think it's been able to get, sort of support for people coming into the country. And I think it's disgraceful that people are reduced to sleeping on the floors in Dublin Airport. We should be able to do something more than this about it.
Maybe the British had a difficulty with the big conversation about closing the borders. That's how they got Brexit over the line, but at the same time opening them up and then leaving themselves open maybe to question marks on profiling who's welcome in Britain or who's not. Maybe that question was just too complicated to sort out.
I think the problem is, in Britain, there is almost, in my view, a mass Brexit has become effectively a national taboo. They don't want to talk about it. It's almost like, and it's not just the Conservative Party, it's also the Labour Party, who are all saying, we're all out here to make Brexit work. And it's a bit like building a car with square wheels. No matter what petrol you put in or how much power you put into that engine, that car's not going to move very well, is it?
No, but you can sit in it and say how great it is. Peter O'Rourke, what's your view on those figures?
Well, in the first place, I think Ireland can do very little other than support Ukraine. I mean, we have a Security Council seat, and I think Simon Coveney has echoed our Irish views there as to what people feel about what's going on in Russia. Apart from that, all we can do is support the Ukrainian refugees. And I think Ireland has, punched above its weight in regard to that. I mean, effectively, we've taken in probably 1% of our population as refugees. And it is somewhat irritating that the criticism we receive in our own media for every little glitch that goes on. I mean, as Lisa said, the volume of people arriving is totally out of anybody's idea of what was going to happen at the start of this. And it's going to harden people's attitude if all we hear is criticism about, failure to provide everybody with everything they need immediately. And when 46 or 48,000 people arrive on your doorstep in a period of 6 months, trying to actually plan for that is very difficult, and there will always be glitches. But criticizing people and the media criticizing hotels and everybody else who has provided tremendous support for these people is going to have a negative effect, and it will harden people's attitude. I don't think 61% of people would have thought that there's too many refugees coming into Ireland if there wasn't as much media criticism and even comments from the Ukrainian ambassador, which I think was unhelpful last week.
Do you think that, is it possible that she was misinterpreted by the same people that you talk of, in that, was she not saying, I'm not here to defend her, was she not saying that you're saying come to Ireland for your refuge, but they weren't saying, and they have started saying it now, that there might be struggles in getting you accommodation? Is that not really what she was saying, and it's been somewhat repackaged to sound ungrateful?
Well, I don't know. It sounded ungrateful when I heard it. I mean, there's a difference between seeking refuge and safety and being looked after in every aspect of your life. And the two things do run hand in hand. If you're running from a a war to save your life, you accept any refuge you can. What comes afterwards is getting back to a normal quality of life. But the two things do run hand in hand, but they're not mutually exclusive.
All right, I'll stay with you on this question then. You talked about the population of Ireland increasing by about 1%. The population of Donegal has increased by around about 3%. And we've punched above our weight within a country that's arguably punched above its weight. With that in mind, people making offers of housing at the moment are being said, thanks but no thanks. We believe that Donegal has, this is what those charged with placing refugees in Donegal, they believe that our services are maxed out. That in other words, the school system, the health system cannot at this time deal with any more Ukrainian refugees. You've worked in the health service yourself. Do you think that's a good decision?
Well, I can only comment on the health side of things. We've been under-resourced for the 25 years I worked in the health service here, and to increase the population by 3% and doing nothing to support health services is just adding to the problem. And it's a problem that personally I've given up on.
Yeah, but can I say with respect, can I say with respect, you've just really said something for which you've kind of criticised the media for doing. And you says the media is highlighting the concerns that some people might have, maybe even amplifying them. But you've done the exact same thing in saying that, highlighting failures in the health service. We're offering these people refuge from a war-torn country.
Yes, but the health service hasn't been in crisis for 6 or 7 months. The health service I've criticised for years.
Oh yes, no, that's for sure. Yeah, constructive criticism, it has to be said too as well, of course. Just on that point, Lisa Chambers. I mean, it's kind of a local story. I'm not sure if you're across it, but we've given out no houses here. Hundreds of people offered homes to refugees. The body charged with placing people in these homes took no offers, but yet we still have 5,000 people. Bit of an enterprise going on there. A lot of it in grouped accommodation. A lot of people housed in hotels and what have you. Not many in houses, even though the offers were there. And now they've said that placing refugees in Donegal is on hold because of pressures on services, as I've mentioned to Mr. O'Rourke there, as it relates to education and health and other areas. Do you think that's the right thing to do?
I think it's going to have to be looked at. I am aware of the story. I read about it actually. And, I think our health service is probably under pressure in every part of the country. I'd be surprised if the schools in Donegal were completely full, because they're not full in Mayo. So I'm assuming it's similar enough kind of.
How many refugees do you have in Mayo?
We've got 2,100.
We've over 5,000. So.
Okay, well maybe there is extra pressures there, but we would still have lots of capacity in schools. But the health service, getting access to GPs, we found really is the kind of the pinch point, because we were already pretty maxed out on that front, and a lot of GPs retiring, a lot of older GPs, particularly in the Western Seaboard. So it's kind of similar issues between, I think, all the counties along the west. I think we're going to have to look at it. If I'm being honest, I don't know if this is actually what has happened, but it's probably a lot easier for the department when it's dealing with so much in such a short space of time, to have a contract with a hotel or some sort of grouped accommodation, because you accommodate a bigger group of people in a short space of time, and it's probably just easier to do it. Well, so I would say that's why they focused on that at the outset.
We've been known about this for an awful long time. There was plenty of time to plan. There was plenty of time. The Red Cross were charged with engaging with these families. This is a lot of goodwill that was put out there and thrown back in people's face. I mean, this is not something that just happened today. The local authorities, for example, were charged, was it 6-9 months ago, to identify property. And they're saying the same stuff now. This is the solution, double the money, €800 for people to make accommodation available. It's the same solution with twice the cost, and yet not one house has been allocated to a refugee in Donegal up until about a week or two ago. I haven't seen figures from then since, so I can't say for certain if anything's happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't think there was enough of a focus on housing people in individual homes the last number of months. I think they've shifted on that now, and that's now part of the updated plan that was discussed on Monday. So I think you will see more Ukrainian refugees going into private homes, and then that doubling of the money from 400 to 800 to compensate people for the cost of that. The Red Cross, I think, it's been pretty well documented now at this stage. They were very overwhelmed with the numbers that were coming through their offices. They really weren't just even administratively able to cope with what they had to deal with in terms of actually, ringing all those individuals and vetting people and checking out the accommodation. So that didn't work great at the start, but I think you'll see that streamlining now. And just to pick up on a point that Peter said, and I think it's really a really fair assessment. There was a lot of negative media coverage last weekend when we didn't have accommodation for, I think, about 44 people. When you think that we've housed 43,000 people in state accommodation the last number of months. We had a pinch point at the weekend. We were very honest about it as a government. Look, we're under pressure, and every single one of those people has been offered accommodation now. So it took us a few days to get that sorted, but the pile-on and the level of amplification of that one minor problem in the context of what we're dealing with, I think was a bit unfair. And I think, there's been a failure in some parts to acknowledge that there are public servants literally working around the clock to deal with this. I know in every local authority, there's a specific task force under the management of the local authority, assessing accommodation, working with the HSE, the Gardaí, the education system. So there is a lot of fantastic work happening. And sometimes the negative stuff is over amplified, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you all for now. Let's take a break. We'll be back more from our panel after these messages. And don't forget to keep involved in the conversation. 08660 25,000.
Live free in 23 with Dunlow GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly. A luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Total ban on sprays proposed. For more in this week's Farmers' Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Crop and rush sprays in the firing line under EU plans. Future land designations not ruled out by Minister. Farmer fallout from Food Vision Dairy Group report, which recommends a dairy cow exit scheme. Turkish buyers driving the weaning trade. And farmers have 2 months to dezone from land tax.
Plus, find out how you can reduce your feed costs this winter. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers' Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Massive stock clearance promotion now on at Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. See the best selection of sofas, beds and sliding robes, all at unbeatable prices with free delivery included. Our best sale items include 4'6" bed set, mattress, base and headboard was €499, now €379 for the lot. Get an extra €100 off any recliner suite, electric or manual. See the best selection and the best priced sliding robes in Ireland, with lots more offers throughout the store. Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. Great furniture, always better prices.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Mac Fleetwood, Europe's premier tribute to Fleetwood Mac, live at Ungrainen Theatre, Letterkenny on Saturday the 14th of January. Hear the classic Fleetwood Mac songs that you know and love. Tickets available from Ungrainen Theatre box office and ungrainen.com.
Donegal County Council advise that a public information day on the preferred option for the Burnfoot Flood Relief Scheme will take place on the 9th of November in Angrennan Hotel from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. This will be the first opportunity for the public to view the option that is preferred for taking forward to the statutory planning process. Attendees will also be able to discuss the option in person with the project team and provide feedback. All are welcome and encouraged to attend.
Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds and fish. Some of the popular home pets that need care and attention every day. At Gary's Pet World, our fully trained staff are here to help you and your pets. We offer great advice and value on all foods, accessories, grooming and care products, with incredible offers on all leading brands. Shop in store at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny Retail Park, open 7 days per week, or browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. Tell Ms. Chambers that to stop, Ireland needs to look after its own people first. That's the bottom line. These people can say what they like, but we need to house our own first. This is nothing whatsoever to do with the war, and people know this. Another one here. The majority, where is it? Yeah, someone says that in our area, there's this phrase, fighting aged men, that you kind of hear in some circles, that there's a lot of fighting aged men coming over from Ukraine, and we thought it was women and children. But there are, of course, lots of get-outs, if you could call it that, for people not to engage in the war, depending on your education and what have you. But also, I mean, are we supposed to, Lisa Chambers, lastly on this, are we supposed to stand at the port or the airport with a pitchfork saying get back and fight if people don't want to engage in a war? I mean, is that, I mean, I don't know where this separation between men and women and children and fighting aged men, as they're referred to, came from.
Yeah, so that wasn't a decision of Ireland, and I think that you probably know my answer to that question. That no, that's not the place for us to be entering into. And as you said, there are many reasons why men, even though they might be in the age bracket that their government has decided need to stay and fight, for medical reasons or family reasons. There are certain exemptions. So
if you have a certain amount of children,
three or more, yeah. So look, there are exemptions, and that's really a matter for the Ukrainian government, not for us.
Right, Richard Logue, the people of Northern Ireland, and God help them, they're facing into another general election now. I think it's December 15th. I don't know if that date's changed. It's probably going to cost about £6 or £7 million. And you wonder, when all the dust settles mid-December, firstly, how many people might vote. But what might change, Richard? It's an awful logjam in Northern Ireland politically.
Yeah, it's a bit like shifting the deck chairs in the Titanic. I was listening very carefully to a lot of what the local politicians in the north were saying last night, and without exception, people like Naomi Long and others, Cara Hunter in the SDLP, they're basically saying there isn't any point in this election. I mean, certainly the DUP may hope to get a couple of extra seats over Sinn Féin. But going for the trends at the moment, it's unlikely that the arithmetic is probably going to fundamentally change on the back of an election. The real issue is that I think in some respects the British government are already rattled. They sent out Lord Jonathan Kane, who's one of the junior ministers in the Northern Ireland office and actually a very influential figure behind the scenes who people really don't know about. He was putting up some pretty forceful statements against the prospect of joint authority as a potential consequence of the current logjam. Certainly, I think to some extent the British government are a little bit rattled, which is why they've gone out and made very forceful statements about the prospect of joint authority if the current process fails. I don't think the DUP would be bothered about elections. I think they particularly like being in a situation where everybody's practically begging for them to come back in, or then when they get to the point, as Naomi Long very forcefully said in the chamber yesterday, about basically making them the villains, because they think that'll shore up their support and maybe get them get a couple over on their rivals in the TUV who they keep looking over the shoulder at. So I'm not sure an election is going to solve anything, and if anything, it'll probably make the divisions even worse. I mean, that the real heart of the problem, and I think, as I mentioned earlier on about the whole taboo in British politics, is about Brexit. And really, we would, if the Brits hadn't gone for the hard Brexit approach that they've gone for, we wouldn't be in this position.
I thought it quite interesting during the week, a business representative group in Northern Ireland coming out really quite strongly saying, look, this needs to be sorted now. This is having an impact on our ability to do business, confidence in Northern Ireland, investment into Northern Ireland. Like, I thought that was probably one of the strongest interventions on this, because with the politics, to be honest with me, it's just white noise now, because it's they said, he said, she said, you know what I mean?
And I hazard a guess that an awful lot of people in the north are actually quite, fed up with the whole political, flim-flam going on up there. I think majority of people, I was watching on Newsnight last night, a cafe owner in Belfast basically saying, look, this is getting in the way of us actually just trying to get on and earn our living. And, the whole thing is toxic and, in my view, unnecessary. But I certainly think that getting the election will probably just, again, fire up, the sectarian divisions again. And I'd watch out for the Alliance Party.
I think the Alliance Party might pick up even more votes from the likes of the DUP, perhaps, or even Sinn Féin.
Yeah, indeed. And I'd also be watching out. I mean, certainly it won't have done Sinn Féin any issues. Interestingly enough, John O'Dowd, the outgoing infrastructure minister in the north, made a very significant announcement just as he was leaving office, yesterday afternoon, in that he instructed his officials to start seeking funding for feasibility studies for a number of significant rail projects. Now, he said he wasn't going to preempt the All-Ireland Rail Review. I suspect he has. And basically, from our point of view in the Northwest, the very significant project that he's asking for funding for a feasibility is reopening the line from Portadown to Derry, which would bring in County Tyrone back onto the network. But very significantly, from our point of view in Donegal, actually makes extending the line from Derry to Letterkenny that much more viable. And that, I think, is leaving a potential long-term legacy for the Northwest. You know, it's gone are the days when, you know, we kind of regarded the lack of rail in Donegal as a bit of a national joke, and actually, we can see this is actually a very significant possibility.
Yeah, Peter O'Rourke, you have to feel for the people of Northern Ireland, of course, because with the triggering of this process, the caretaker ministers are no longer in their office doing the day-to-day stuff. You know, I mean, the people of Northern Ireland are facing all the challenges that we all are. And an executive in power, in position, would be able to make decisions that hopefully would, in some way, ease those pressures. But the DUP just are refusing to budge.
Well, I think Northern Ireland has run quite well for the last 10 or 12 years with consensus running of the country and taking politics out of running of the country, and that worked. But unfortunately, that didn't suit the DUP, who basically want to bring politics back into the Assembly, because it ran quite well with sort of consensus and non-partisan agreement. But, you know, that doesn't suit the political side of things in Northern Ireland. So I think the election is going to make absolutely no difference. Things are going to be exactly the same after the election. You had two diametrically opposed political groups, and then you have a section in the middle who leans one way or the other way. It's like American politics, when certain Republicans would never vote for a Democrat and vice versa. So it's politics rearing its ugly head, when fortunately it had slipped into the background for quite a while in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I would like to be a campaign manager for this one, Lisa. Do you know what I mean? Like, so soon after the last election, you maybe just dust off whatever you were saying a few months ago. And also, too, I'd really wonder about the turnout here. I think whichever party can motivate people to get out and vote is it a real advantage? You know, a cold winter's day in the middle of December, same old story. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking at a time to run an election, you probably couldn't find a worse time to have one. People will be angry that they're being asked to go to the polls again so soon after the last election. And I think, you know, for Sinn Féin and the DUP in particular, they will find it very difficult to go to the doors and justify why they're there. You know, I think both will blame the other. I think there's blame on both sides as to why the executive and the Assembly has not got back up and running. I think it was interesting to hear it reported that one MLA was describing the current situation as a wake for power sharing.
But what could Sinn Féin do when you say both sides, I presume you mean Sinn Féin and the DUP. What could Sinn Féin do to sort of lift that blame and perhaps allow the forming of a government there?
Well, I think what they did directly after the last election, where they came out within hours calling for a border poll, they pretty much killed off any chance of getting people into a room and working together. I think that was, I think that just destroyed any sort of potential goodwill that might have been there. And then I think the DUP have behaved shamelessly. And, you know, they just didn't ever expect that they'd be in the position where they would have to be second in line to Sinn Féin, and they just can't cope with it. And I think they're using the Northern Ireland Protocol and the Brexit situation as a fig leaf to cover what is just naked political opportunism to try and not accept the result of the last election. And I hope that, you know, even though the way that it's set up in terms of power sharing and the Good Friday Agreement makes it very difficult for an alternative party to come through the middle, the Alliance Party achieved it despite those challenges in the last occasion. And it's quite possible that they will see additional support in this election because, you know, they have been the adults in the room the last number of months. But yesterday, it has to be just so disappointing. If you're a business person trying to get on with things and make a living, and the instability that all of this is creating. And you're right, Greg, it is significant that business representative groups are coming out now. It is a shame that they didn't come out before the Brexit vote. I think there was a lot of silence because nobody wanted to get involved in the politics of it. But, you know, better late than never. And ultimately we wouldn't be here if it were not for the Brexit situation, but we had no control over that. It is what it is. And I think the suggestion now that Dublin and London might have a more shared role in terms of governing is a good suggestion, and London shouldn't be running scared of that, because we need to find some way of getting things back working, functioning in some shape or form for the citizens and businesses of Northern Ireland.
I don't think the British are quite cool on the idea of a joint authority.
No, and I suppose that's in the context now of a new leader coming in. The unionist element of the Tory party won't like the sounds of that. The DUP will be putting pressure on. So, I suppose the political environment there is just not conducive to and the politics in England isn't functioning very well either. So it's just not the type of environment you're going to see reason and logic prevail, I think, unfortunately.
Stop paying the wages, Peter. Maybe they might be quicker to come around the table. Does it work as simply as that?
I doubt it.
It's worth a try.
Well, they could feel the pain everybody else is feeling.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Listen, thanks very much for that. Stay where you are. Back with more from our panel after these messages.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Looking to grab something for lunch? Why not call to Spar and choose from their state-of-the-art deli, or if you're in a hurry, why not get something from their grab and go or fresh bakery? Spar Glencar, in the heart of the community.
Wetsuit on and underwater by air.
Aprons on, breakfast orders in, conversation flowing, loving every second.
Every day is different. There's always new faces. It really suits me.
It fits my schedule. I can see friends, do my yoga, balance work with life and enjoy both.
My career in tourism works for me.
And mine works for me.
Get a career in tourism that works for you. Visit tourismcareers.ie. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
It's the return of Derry Halloween. Over 4 fiendish days and nights, the walled city comes alive with ancient spirits welcoming you to join our awakening from the 28th to the 31st of October. Join us for an unforgettable adventure if you dare. Visit derryhalloween.com, supported by Tourism NI and the Executive Office.
Hi. Did you know that your Irish Life pension could help the planet? By investing less in companies that harm the environment and more in those trying to help it, while always aiming to give you the strongest possible return.
See irishlife.ie for pension funds that have a responsible approach, or speak to your financial broker or advisor. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Jimmy Buckley live at the Highlands Hotel Glenties on Friday, November 4th. Doors open at 8 p.m. with music by Conor O'Donnell before Jimmy Buckley takes to the stage. Tickets €17.50. Available online at ticketstop.ie or from hotel reception.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
Dunstore's Double Savers gives you new ways to shrink your bill. Save in the aisles when you choose from your favourite chocolate sharing tubs, like Quality Street and Cadbury Heroes, now only €4 each. Or fuel up with selected Monster Energy 500ml 4-packs, also only €4 each. Then save again at the till with our 5 off 25 grocery vouchers. Shrink your bill with Double Savers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
All right, big conversations in the media and on social media about increases to the fines, road traffic fines. We had Deputy Michael Healy-Rae on yesterday saying it was a money-making racket. Is it a money-making racket, or is it an effective tool to keep our roads safer and to sort of influence people's driving habits? Peter O'Rourke, what do you think? Waste of time, as the Healy-Raes seem to think it is, and others.
Compared to other countries where our fines aren't particularly high, I don't think it'll make an awful lot of difference, and I don't think the money generated will make any difference to anybody. If they put it into road safety, it would be great. But apart from that, it'd be interesting to see if they actually put some fines on cyclists for change rather than just cars.
Oh, hold on a second. You don't drop that one at 20 to 10. I'll have to run to 11 o'clock.
Well, having been down in Dublin recently, where I've never seen a bicycle actually stop at the traffic lights, the behaviour of delivery cyclists is appalling. And the Road Safety Authority seem to run an Orwellian thing that 2 wheels good, 4 wheels bad. And it's about time they actually dealt with the cyclist as well as just the cars.
So you're a bit nonplussed then about the increasing of fines from 80 to 150. It's really, it's not doing much. That if we want to sort of keep that downward trend in serious injuries and deaths on our roads, then we have to look at things differently.
It depends. How many fines do you get in a year? If you're lucky, you get none. If you're unlucky, you might get one. It's not going to make anybody change their driving patterns to any degree, I think. If you have 8 points and you're worried about losing your license, it's not the fine that's going to worry you. It's the risk of getting it. So you'll behave because of the points, not because of the fines.
What about then if it was like in some other country, which escapes me at the moment, where the fine was linked to your income?
And that's, I think, in some of the Scandinavian countries, there was a case where somebody got a fine of something like 2.3 million because they'd sold their .com company. I don't think that would be particularly fair, but I don't think the fine in their current levels are a deterrent as such. The points are the deterrent, because that affects your insurance, and your insurance being affected would cost you a lot more than a fine.
Yeah, we might come back to the cyclists, but Richard, fines doubling. You heard from Mr. O'Rourke then. A lot of people have the same view, actually. What do you think?
Yeah, so the fines, I mean, look, the fines it's an uncomfortable thing in your pocket, but as Peter rightly pointed out, I think points on licenses are far more of a deterrent. But I would also add, in the north and in Britain itself, what they often have for the first time somebody's been given a speed offence is they are given the opportunity to pay a slightly larger fine and attend a speed awareness course. Now, I have to put up my hand and say I have been on a speed awareness course, and luckily I don't have any points in my license. And actually, I found that a very, very significant piece of information, because what they do is they go into certainly the details of things like speed awareness, tailgating, which I also think is a very, very significant problem, and also about effectively reiterating the point that, if you might drive, let's say for argument's sake, at 120 kilometers an hour on a road when the limit is 100 or 90, but you actually don't arrive much sooner than you do, because by the time when you factor in traffic and all that, and that for me was a very valuable lesson.
So that's a little bit like booking priority on a Ryanair flight. You just stand up whilst everyone else sits down. Fundamentally, the plane takes off at the same time. But is it not going to influence new drivers' behaviour, perhaps? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's easy if you're a little bit older, you've been driving for 10, 15, 20 years, you've got your pattern of driving. I don't think Peter O'Rourke, he doesn't look like he's got a heavy right foot. It's not going to put him up or down. But if someone, I see the eyebrows going there, but if someone is 18 or 19 or 20 just getting on the road, is it not positive messaging, that there's going to be a financial penalty and a points penalty if you're...
Not only that, but technology is coming up very quick. And an awful lot of young drivers, certainly here in Britain, are now being told by their insurance companies to have a black box mounted in their car which monitors their speed. And that is instantaneous. So if they go over speed limits, it actually is money on their insurance policies. And whilst I personally dislike the idea of Big Brother sitting in my car, it may actually end up forcing drivers, and especially as technology moves on, as we know it's moving very quickly, we may end up ultimately in a situation where our cars are being monitored anyway. Now, that for me, from a personal freedoms point of view, is not a great scenario, but it does enforce safe driving behavior. And I think that may well be the way that some insurance companies may want to start pushing things, regardless of whatever the government or governments want to do.
I mean, Lisa Chambers, you could argue, that the fines really aren't working. When you look at the fatality trends, there has been a fall, but there's some peaks as well, and it can seemingly vary from year to year. Do we not need to look at this differently? More education in schools, put it on the school curriculum, as I suggested on the programme yesterday. let's even make the theory test part of one of the exams. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the fines, even in a doubling, probably aren't going to really, they're going to look like we're doing something, but they're probably not really going to, sadly, affect the terrible loss of life and serious injury on our roads.
Yeah, I mean, I think in isolation, they don't do a whole lot. I suppose it's part of the overall response, you know, the penalty points, the fines, and just the messaging. Even the fact that we're discussing it today will bring people's attention to it. It was in the news. You know, we haven't actually had an increase in the rate of fines in, I think, 20 years. So it's kind of long overdue, really, to bring them up to a level that's maybe what you'd expect in this day and age. And, you know, the road fatalities went down during the COVID period, but they're back up to pre-COVID levels. I think the last figures we had where we've lost 123 people already this year. So it's still a problem. We brought them down, you know, over the years, but it's still a significant problem. And interestingly, the minister introduced 3 new fixed penalty charges that will come into effect next year. And that's for misuse of a disabled driver's permit, parking wrongly in an electric charging bay, and then HGVs going down a road that they're not supposed to go down. So there's 3 new fines that will come into effect next year to acknowledge that, I suppose, motoring has changed and we now have these additional things to take into account. So it's not going to do anything major in and of itself, but it's an important message. And as I said, the fines haven't been updated in some 20 years, I think. So it's probably just due an update, really.
On the way to work today, we come across 2 people fully dressed in black, and it's still dark. No lights, no nothing. And you saw the weather this morning. Unbelievable stuff. We heard also concerns about the same issue in the Milford area yesterday, and you heard Peter O'Rourke there referencing the cyclists' behaviour, and then we can bring into that, I suppose, now to electric scooters and what have you. Do we need to really look at this in a broader scope and start bringing cyclists, you know, maybe even pedestrians, and you know, electric bike, scooter drivers into this whole conversation? When I say that, should we start finding them?
Definitely. I mean, if you are a road user, that's not just a motorist. If you're on a scooter, if you're on a bicycle, you have to abide by the same rules as people in their cars. You're not supposed to run red lights or drive over or cycle over pedestrian crossings. And, you know, the guards, obviously you have to catch somebody in the act. It's a bit more tricky. But if they catch somebody, they should find them.
Well, what about then, particularly maybe in cities, a number plate system so that a presumed motorist can be caught by way of camera or what have you? Is it time then for, you know, each individual bicycle and its cyclist to be identifiable, number plates, for example?
Oh, I don't know if it's worth it to that extent. I mean, that's pretty heavy going for what we're looking to do. I mean, I do know that the Gardaí do fine cyclists for breaking red lights if they catch them. So it does happen, but maybe not to the extent that it should. And perhaps an education programme around the dangers of it, because unfortunately you can be the best driver in the world, but if somebody else does something stupid, you can be the person that comes out hurt. And there's no amount of legislation or regulation or fines or points that will ever account for some of the stupidity that we see on the roads. And you'll always have an element of that. But, you know, walking in the dark, in dark clothing without high-vis is just daft. I mean, if you really want to take your life into your hands, that's one way to do it. Thankfully, most people don't do those silly things.
You see it too often. I see it so often. Most people don't, but you actually only need a couple of people that do. Peter O'Rourke, what's your view then on maybe, you know, is it time to have bikes registered in like vehicles maybe in cities or whatever, so that they can be held to account the same as a motorist might?
Well, I think there's 2 groups there. The electric bikes, I think, need to be registered. The drivers need to be insured and have insurance, because certainly being on the continent or walking around, the speed at which they travel is unacceptable, because if an electric bike will pass you or come towards you at a much faster speed than an ordinary bicycle that is just going on pedal power. So I think that needs to be regulated. I think possibly they do need to have some form of identification on them. With regard to other bicycles, it would be very difficult, but one area where I think it really should have some legislation is these cycling clubs. I mean, you get them in Donegal, the Saturday afternoon peloton of 20 or 30 cyclists cycling along a country road with a straight white line that you can't get past, and cycling 3 abreast and thinking they own the road. And if you look at the Road Safety Authority's advice, if you had to give them the 2 meters clearance that they deserve, you'd be driving in the ditch on the other side of the road. And the Road Safety Authority really needs to get their act together and start dealing with cyclists, as I said, rather than just the 4-wheel beast.
I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you there.
Don't do it respectfully. Just get straight in there.
Listen, I'm a cyclist as well as a motorist.
Oh, here
and I
we have one. Okay.
I have to do the exercise somehow.
I know.
And I think two things. One is that the Gardaí do have, if we know from our rules of the road, there are several regulations around cyclists, and particularly around lights, and particularly around, cyclists are expected to observe the rules of the road the same way motorists are. So there could be more enforcement. There should be more enforcement from the Gardaí on cyclists. But at the end of the day, a car is far more able to kill a cyclist, and a cyclist will be able to damage. I mean, they can damage cars, but it won't affect the driver in a way. So I think enforcement of the rules of the road by the Gardaí on cyclists, I'm 100% behind. I would disagree about insurance for cyclists. I think it's a grey area about electric bikes. I think if they're capable of doing speeds above 30 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, but you know yourself, the cyclists that Peter O'Rourke are talking about will often be pedalling it at 30, 40 kilometres per hour. That being said, they also probably have insurance to some extent as part of a club, so I'm kind of contradicting myself to some extent.
Yeah, so clubs will have, or should have public liability insurance for sure. But, we need to have, and I welcome the fact that they're installing the Greenway up from Derry all the way up to Quigley's Point, which is where my family are from.
Cyclists don't like cycling on greenways, though. They like to cycle on the roads. They don't.
I like to cycle on greenways. I can't speak about the Peloton boys. I'm middle-aged man on a bike and trying to do it safely. But if we actually are serious about cycling, we need to have safe provision for cyclists on main roads, and that does mean actually having separate places, as they do in Holland. I know it's not cheap, but I think getting safe, routes for cyclists is really vital in order to do that. And again, as I say, enforcement by the guards on the existing laws, which the Oireachtas doesn't need to pass any new laws or anything like that. The laws are already there.
Yeah. Okay, just in the last few minutes that we have, because obviously with your interest in rail, and you referenced that announcement yesterday, I believe it was, we've talked in the past about the possibility of a rail link between Sligo and Derry through Letterkenny, or whatever form that might take, and it's always felt like something that's a pipe dream, something that may never happen. Richard, what is your view? Do you feel we are edging closer to that? Because it is actually another alternative way. We've been talking about bicycles and scooters and what have you. It is another way to get us out of our cars and back to the future, I suppose.
In very many respects. So Lisa and I were both at a conference down in Tuam on Saturday regarding not just the Western Rail corridor, but actually in the wider context of redevelopment for the West. And we are all aware that young people are emigrating in larger numbers from this country, and it's not because of jobs, it's entirely around housing. Now, I think that seeing who was there was a big contingent from Fianna Fáil. In fact, Minister Darragh O'Leary made the opening remarks at the meeting, and there was a big contingent from the Greens, from Sinn Féin, from Fine Gael, and of course independent TDs like Sean Kenny. And I found it very heartening because, there's a recognition at this stage that rail development is coming. It's a way forward. We also, as Peter and I were saying in the break, we do need to have better roads. And I don't see it as road versus rail. I see it as both. But fundamentally, we need to be able to push for rail development. Incidentally, I've been asked by my good friend Steve Bradley from Into the West to note that there is a meeting in Letterkenny on Tuesday evening at the Station House Hotel, 7 p.m. And that's entirely about bringing rail back to Donegal. So I would be killed if I wasn't, if I didn't mention that.
Well, you have done it now. Lisa Chambers, us in the West, it's like, you would imagine, particularly with the makeup of the government and the Green influence, that we shouldn't have to be fighting for this. That it would be seen as a legacy project for a government, to provide. You'd do two things. You would provide good access to the Northwest, which we've been crying out for, and you'd also be doing it in what would be seen as a climate conscious way. Yet we're constantly having to try and argue and make a case for it. And whilst it feels like the conversation is a little bit more serious than it has been in the past. We'd really love to see some action on the ground. I'm sure you'd share that view, but why is it such a battle to get something that makes an awful lot of sense, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating. In 2014, when I was elected to the council, I was a representative on West on Track, and that's going back now, or 8 years ago. And the guys on that organisation, they were going, maybe 2 decades before I ever got there. So this is a long time been talked about, but the environment has changed. The climate agenda has definitely shifted things. The conference we attended on Saturday was about regional development in the West and the Northwest. And if you really want to annoy yourself, for the weekend, take a look at a map of rail lines 100 years ago and look at the map today. And we've actually gone backwards.
It's my screensaver, Lisa.
Oh, well, look, you'll see then, Greg, that there's almost like a black cloud over the West and Northwest when it comes to key infrastructure, and it is infuriating. So actually, when I think it was it Richard that said about the feasibility study being money being announced for the Portadown Derry link, I was Googling that as we were talking because that's really interesting. We've had the Western Rail Corridor kicked into the All-Ireland Rail Review, another review on top of review. But we're hopeful that actually following that, we might get this over the line. Yeah. And the idea then is to link that along the Atlantic Economic Corridor right up into Letterkenny and across to Derry. So we want to link Derry to Galway.
Yeah, we do. And I think this would, I can't quote it directly, and I don't want to misquote it either, but there was a recent European study, or not a study, but they release it annually, where they talk of the development of each particular area. Isn't that right, Lisa? Yeah. And the West we've been downgraded, haven't we? And I'm just thinking in terms of, foreign direct investment into, that it doesn't really, we might not take much heed of it, but I'm sure there are groups of individuals that would look at it. Maybe you can tell us what that rating was.
So every year the Commission do an assessment of each member state, and they look at all of the regions and regional development. It's the country-specific review. And our region, the West and Northwest, has been downgraded a number of years ago to a region in transition. So we're still developing, according to the European Union, as opposed to the other regions in the country which aren't developed. So we need positive discrimination. We need to get a bit extra of the pie because we are lagging behind. And that's why I think Saturday's conference was significant. And the announcement that I've just heard about around the Portadown Derry link, that's significant because all roads don't need to lead to Belfast or Dublin. We need to connect the West because there's lots of us here.
All right, and the last word to Peter O'Rourke on this. Is it roads or rail for you, or do you agree with Richard? We need to focus on both. I don't know. I wasn't privy to your conversation in the adverts, Peter.
Well, I would just love a decent road in Donegal, preferably from Letterkenny to Lifford. Could I also suggest to Lisa consider legislation on an age limit for men in lycra on bikes?
Mammals.
The greater good.
I'm making a note now.
I've never worn lycra. Maybe something we should try, Peter, and then make our minds up. I don't know. Okay, listen, Peter O'Rourke, former orthopaedic surgeon. Thank you very much for your time, Peter. I appreciate it. Great to have you back on the show. Take care of yourself. The same goes for you, Senator Lisa Chambers. Thanks for your time again this morning.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, enjoy your weekend. And last but not least, of course, Richard Logue, Project Manager in Transport London. Always good to get your insight, particularly on the transport side of things as well. Have a great weekend and take care of yourself.
You too, all the best.
All right, bye-bye. We'll be back with the weather before the news at 10.
Live free in 23 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly, a luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Tracksuit bottoms for men from all your favourite brands. Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas Tiro 21 training pants, tight on the leg with zip pockets. Adidas Entrada pants, classic style from only €30. Nike Tiempo training pants with classic zip pockets, only €40. Join our Christmas club by opening an account today at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Ballybuffet is the ideal place for all your Christmas celebrations this year. You can enjoy a festive atmosphere with excellent service and outstanding food at the Villa Rose and Jackson's hotels. We have a lively array of party nights, events and hotel packages to choose from. Visit us for festive dining with friends in one of our cosy and inviting bars and restaurants. See jacksonshotel.ie and villarose.ie for full details.
Hello, Farmer Tinny here. Tinny's Toys are now open 7 days a week. New stock arriving weekly. Our Christmas Club is now open. Check out our entire range online at tinnystoys.com, where we offer free shipping on orders over €75. Buy now, pay later with Klarna. No extra charges. Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore. Down by.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, the rain is clearing now as this morning wears on. Sunny spells will develop with scattered showers following this afternoon and evening. Some showers will be heavy, moderate to fresh southwest winds, highest temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. Coming up after 10, we have joining us the new Donegal senior football manager. If you have any questions, get in touch, 086 60 25,000. It's now over to Donald for the news.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it is 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. A British government minister has confirmed there will be a pre-Christmas election in Northern Ireland after a deadline to restore power sharing passed without agreement. The DUP is still blocking the formation of an executive at Stormont in protest over the post-Brexit protocol. Now the UK Environment Secretary Teresa Coffey says voters will definitely go to the polls as local parties were unable to break the deadlock.
Clearly there wasn't sufficient agreement to be able to avoid the elections. That wasn't in the hands of the government, that was in the hands of the parties representing the different communities in Northern Ireland.
Alliance leader and outgoing Justice Minister Naomi Long says she's embarrassed to be associated with politics at Stormont.
I am ashamed to be part of this circus yet again. We know that elections in Northern Ireland do not solve problems, they deepen the crisis. Right now there is one issue that is preventing us from restoring the Assembly. There is one party that is preventing us from restoring the Assembly and Executive.
A man and woman have died following a road crash near Castleblaney in County Monaghan. Another person is critical after the collision, which involved a lorry and two cars. With more detail, here's Cliona O'Dwyer.
The crash happened when a lorry and two cars collided on the N2 at Mullaghany at around 6:15 yesterday evening. A man and woman in their 60s who were in one of the cars were pronounced dead at the scene. A woman in her 60s who was a passenger in the second car was taken to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda to be treated for her injuries, which are critical. Gardaí are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Any road users who may have camera footage and were travelling on the N2 at Castleblaney between 6:05 and 6:30 yesterday evening are asked to contact Gardaí.
The Cathaoirleach of the Lifford-Strathmore Municipal District says there's been positive feedback to a pilot retrofitting scheme that was carried out in the district. Councillor Patrick McGowan said 3 housing schemes in the Lifford and Castlefin areas were provided with retrofitted air-to-water heating as well as updated insulation and wiring in a bid to cut energy costs and fossil fuel usage. He says following the success there is no potential for the scheme to be rolled out elsewhere.
That's something that was piloted here in the Lifford-Strathmore area. Next year then we'll be looking then to put places Belfast and Nora, Castlefin, Drumkeen, just extend it round the whole area. Obviously the rest of the county too as well will be looking, that's the way forward now. When you bring something new and a new system of heating and that, there are challenges and it will take a long time to bring in, but reports back were positive.
Continued care is being urged on roads across the northwest this morning after torrential rain earlier saw large amounts of surface water on the region's roads. Flooding was reported in many areas of Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. The rain has eased, but Gardaí and the PSNI are both urging high levels of caution, saying surface water may still pose a threat in a number of areas. The former Taoiseach, Mary Coughlin, has been elected chair of the Donegal Executive of Fianna Fáil. She was returned unanimously at the Executive's AGM in Ballybofey last night. And Transport Infrastructure Ireland doesn't always get it right. That's according to Councillor Michael McBride. He's calling on TII to re-examine the possibility of a climbing lane on the N56 in the Bluebanks area near Kilmacrennan. He says while the works carried out on the route have greatly enhanced the road, an issue does remain with traffic in that area, and he believes it can be resolved.
You reach the point there where the Bluebanks, where the corners, where there's a steep gradient there going up the hill. I see it all the time. I use that road myself nearly every day of the week. You see long tailbacks of traffic behind slow vehicles. It's actually, whenever they get to the top of the hill, people then are looking to try and pass, and there's oncoming traffic. And I always think to myself that the TIA got that wrong. I think there should be a climbing lane there on the left-hand side. And if they can't put on the climbing lane, there's loads of space there to put in an area just along the side of the road where slow-moving vehicles can pull in.
Weather forecast, and after some very heavy downpours this morning, rain has begun to clear. Sunny spells will develop with scattered showers following this afternoon and evening. Some of those showers will be heavy, moderate to fresh southwest winds. Top temperatures today 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 28th of October. The death has taken place of Andy O'Boyle, Clairville, High Road, Letterkenny. Andy's remains will repose at his late residence from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock this evening, and again tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. with family time please on the morning of the funeral. Rosary nightly at 9 p.m. Funeral from his residence at 12:15 on Sunday afternoon, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs for 1 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on the parish Facebook page. Interment afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Patrick Glenn, Dromore, Killygordon. His remains will repose at Gibson's Funeral Home in Convoy from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock for burial in the family plot in Convoy Presbyterian Church. House wake and funeral strictly private please at the request of the deceased. The death has occurred of Stephen Kelly, Gortletra, Stranorder. Remains reposing at his late residence from 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Funeral from there on Monday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorder at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Drumbo Cemetery. Requiem Mass will be streamed live on churchservices.tv. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, directly to the Donegal Hospice or care of any family member. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. daily and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Mary Deary, Tulnaree, Carndonagh. Mary's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there on Sunday morning at 10:15, going to Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh for 11 o'clock funeral mass, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. House private please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The death has taken place of Norma McNamee, née Harper, 75, Summerhill Court, Strabane, formerly of Sion Mills, reposing at her home. Service in her home tomorrow afternoon at 12:30, with removal at 1 o'clock for cremation in Lakelands Crematorium at 3. The death has taken place of Charlie Cullen, Strand Road, Bunbeg, Gweedore. Remains reposing at his home with rosary at 8 p.m, house private please from 10 p.m, and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards to Maharagallen Cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Una Mooney, née Ledden, Swilly Road, Buncrana, and formerly of Ballinamore, County Leitrim. Funeral from her late residence this morning at 10:20, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
And before we move on in the programme, just to talk a moment, our thoughts and prayers are with the O'Boyle family in Letterkenny this morning on the death of their precious dad Andy, especially his sons Joe and Sean, his daughters Marie, Rita and Lucy, and his wider family circle. Andy, as many of you out there would know, is a former colleague of us here at Highland Radio. He first joined us as a Garda Sergeant on our community Garda community slots, and then with his work with the Donegal Hospice and our radio bingo. Andy also had a huge involvement in football. Andy's remains will repose at his late residence today from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. and on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. with family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The funeral is from his residence at 12:15 p.m. on Sunday, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs for 1 p.m. Requiem Mass. Interment afterwards to Conwall Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. And just to let you know that there's a rosary both evenings at 9 p.m.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 28th of October. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S15. It's game number 43. The numbers are 62, 23, 84, 31, 68, 64, 46, 18, 35, and finally 2. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range at Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
Are you in the process of moving your account to a new banking provider? Here's what to take into account when moving account. Opening your new account is just the first step. You then need to redirect all sources of income to this new account. Don't forget to update any payment arrangements, such as direct debits, standing orders and card payments with your new details to ensure important transfers continue as usual. For more information, visit movingaccount.ie. Brought to you by Banking and Payments Federation Ireland.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced with up to 60% off sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses that are in stock and ready for delivery. With 0% interest-free finance available for up to 2 years and with no deposit, the decision is easy. Oktoberfest sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
The hilarious It's the Real McCoy by Tommy Marin is coming to On Grain On Theatre Letterkenny this Friday, October 28th.
Do I look like Daddy? What's in the dog always comes out in the pup.
It's the Real McCoy, Letterkenny, this Friday night. See ongrainon.com. Book now.
Residential property owners. Has your property been newly built or refurbished to a livable condition since November 1st last year? If so, you need to submit a local property tax return by the deadline of December 2nd, 2022. For further information, go to revenue.ie. Don't miss the deadline. File your LPT return on time.
Inflation busting sale now on at Florid Letterkenny. There's 12mm AC5 European laminate starting from €16.95 a square yard. 8mm AC4 European laminate starting from €11.99 a square yard. And engineered plant oak flooring from only €47.99 a square yard. But hurry, only while stocks last at Florid, Cullion Road, Letterkenny.
You're very welcome back to the programme. Now, the new Donegal senior football manager, Paddy Carr, will be joining us in the not-too-distant future, so stay tuned for that. Any questions, get in touch, 086 60 25,000. We'll see what we can do. My friend's daughter had her phone at school, says a listener. The phone was confiscated. When the parents went to collect the phone after school, they were refused and informed that the phone would be kept for a few days. Is this legal? I don't know if there's law to govern this. I don't think a school has any right in law to withhold someone's private property. I don't think even necessarily maybe the rules of the school, they're not enforceable by law. So I don't know. It doesn't sound legal to me. But as I say, my instinct would tell me how could it be illegal? How could it be legal? What right would a individual, and they're not a guard, they're not a judge, they're not a solicitor, they're just an individual who happens to be a teacher or a principal. What right would they have to retain someone else's private property? And there's question marks there over GDPR as well. If I were a school, I would come up with some other system other than confiscating phones, because you'd be leaving yourself open, I would say, to a number of actions, not least under GDPR rules. That's someone's private property and contains private information. Lots of private information. A caller says, millions spent on providing a new cycle lane from the Polestar to Derry Arch, yet on Saturday I spotted one of our two-wheeled friends totally avoiding the new cycle path and instead travelling casually along the dual carriageway holding up traffic. Can you get Greg to ask Mr O'Rourke what pain he's going through as regards the cost of living? Another listener says, again, the Bonnigie roundabout is flooded, the busiest roundabout in Donegal. The roads engineer over this should be called to task. Absolutely farcical, incompetent shower. Well, there were showers of rain that the road was incompetent in dealing with. It was terrible. There's enough chat about problems in terms of traffic getting in and out of Letterkenny without an hour's rain causing gridlock like it did. Pity Lisa Chambers and Fianna Fáil representatives wouldn't concentrate on providing government instead of being obsessed with Sinn Féin. Another, hi Greg, just shows you how bad Fianna Fáil are now when they have taken back Mary Coughlin after all these years. It's a case, do they know... I don't know what that last bit of that says. Mary Coughlin, the former minister, will be joining us on the programme in before 11 o'clock, I believe. A caller says, I don't think there are enough guards to implement the speeding fines. Another, good man, Mr O'Rourke, in 100% agreement with you. I suspect that's as it relates to the cycles, is it? Another, it definitely has nothing to do with safety in this country. It's all about money, money, money for government, full stop. And the point system is wrong. It's designed again to reap money in for the government. It's all about money, money, money. But the amount of money taken in from fines in the wider scale of things, in the wider scale of finance, is tiny, really, isn't it? I mean, if it's about raking in money, they're not very good at it. Frightening the number of drivers on phones texting or reading texts when driving. The arrogance of it is shocking. And another, good man, Mr O'Rourke, the cyclists. Another, the electric scooters in my area are being used on the footpaths. Is this legal? I'm not sure what the legality is at this point. I know it's being legislated for, or there's a few areas of legislation. I'm not quite sure. Let's see what Ciara thinks on fines. Good morning, Ciara. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to chat to you. Right, okay. Do you think increasing fines is worthwhile, or is it maybe targeting particular groups, or what's your view?
In my opinion, I don't think fines are fair, because they do tend to, a student going to college could be doing 10 kilometres over the speed limit. They might be late. Then they get smacked with a €160 fine that they can't afford. They need to look at the penalty points. The penalty point is diverse. It's for everyone. No matter what, you're going to get a penalty point and you're going to be annoyed about it.
So if you get 12 points, you could be banned from driving your €250,000 Lamborghini or your €2,500 Ford Fiesta. You think it's more equal?
Exactly. Whereas if you get a €160 fine, I couldn't afford that right now. I think I have €80 on my bank. I'd have to wait, and then you're under financial pressure. It's not fair to the lower class people and even some middle class people.
Yeah,
The penalty points, if you...
Sorry, Lisa, there's a slight... Kira, sorry, there's a slight delay on the phone. I have only been done for points twice. No, it's not your fault, it's our fault. I've only been done for points twice, right? And it was ages ago, it was in Galway. And on both occasions, I didn't realise the speed limit on the road. I wasn't going very fast. I think I was doing about 70, but it was a 50-kilometre zone.
Exactly.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I got 6 points. I think it was 604. I can't remember what it was at the time, but it was twice in the one down the same stretch of road. And I think you've a question mark over signage as well, so that it's a fair game.
Yeah, the signage around, especially on the roads I be travelling, is a complete joke. Anyone I've spoken to says the speed limit at Clarkchapel, just outside Donegal town, is 80 kilometres. There is not one signpost.
No, that's
saying
that is 100. That's 100, Kira.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's not even a 100-kilometre on your way into the gap. There is on your way back out. But the signage, you can dispute that you were speeding if you can prove that there was no sign in your area stating the speed limit. You can dispute it then. But they need to, if they increase the signs, people will see the speed limit. Like, it's not fair to be fining someone €160 because they don't know what the speed is.
Yeah, and another thing that's a little bit unfair, if you want to dispute it, you have to go to court. But I think they try to discourage you from doing that because I think they double the points or they double the fines, don't they? So it's not really fair, is it? So even if you think you have a good case, you probably won't go to court for fear that you don't get a fair hearing. It's not very fair, that, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, for speeding you get, I think it's 3 points, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure then when you go to court they add 2 points on if you don't win your case. Like, but none of it is fair. It's not equal across the board to everyone. If I was speeding, I'd just be pissed off. I'd be so annoyed. Whereas if I got the points, I would be so much more careful because I know however many more points is going to get my license taken away. And even if they did it, it's 12 points over 3 years to get your license taken away for 6 months. But if they brought that back a bit, if they did six penalty points in 6 months, it's a week ban. And then if you get 8 points in a year, it should be a month ban. Rather than just putting the pressure on people to pay these fines when they can't pay them, the money goes up. Where is the money going?
It's hard enough to keep a car on the road too, Kira, as well, with everything between, the tax, the insurance, the price of the car, maintaining the car, tyres. It's, it's not easy keeping the car on the road now.
For young people.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, even the insurance, I'm on the road 3 years now. My insurance last year was $1,800. That's crazy money.
Are you full licensed,
I've been on the road
Kira?
3 years.
Are you full licensed?
I'm full licensed. I got my license when I was 17.
Yeah, what was it this year?
This year it was $1,800. Just the Meg just gone.
I mean, this is a different conversation altogether, but I recently got a quote for someone younger than you with no driving experience, no claims bonus, and the quote was $1,900. So that company, I would suggest you go to because I would say you're paying over the odds there, Kira.
Probably, yeah.
Unless you're driving a 2-litre petrol or something, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a 1.6 diesel.
No, you shouldn't be paying that much.
It's just the way the system is at the minute, it's not equal. It's suppressing certain people, whereas the penalty points, it is effective for everyone. Do you think someone on, $100K a year is going to care about €160 fine?
Of course not.
They
probably have that sitting in the center console of the car if you've got that much money. But I think I've never heard the suggestion that you've come up with there before, and I think it's interesting in terms of a smaller amount of points that introduces a ban for a shorter period of time. Like I wonder, was that ever looked at when they were devising this? Because it's a more of immediate, in your face type of a situation, and maybe people might even adhere to it a bit more.
Exactly, yeah. If I was near getting my license removed for a week or a month or 6 months, you take it so much more seriously.
Okay, Ciara, listen, thanks for your time this morning. Interesting points of view. Good to hear from you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and safe motoring, Ciara. Keep under the limit.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks very much indeed. That's Ciara there. What do you think of her suggestions? 08660 25,000. Answer me this. Where is the money coming from for all this, and why was this money not used or got for Ireland's own people who are on the streets like this? Just do not make sense to any person in this country. Or can any person answer this for the public? Well, the money comes from, for 2023 anyway, the money is coming from the taxpayer, from the exchequer, from the from VAT, from corporation tax, from taxes being costed. 2.8 billion set aside for 2023. That's where the money is coming from. The government will argue that there's a separate housing for all programme that they're working on. They delivered, I think Fianna Fáil was saying yesterday, they've already delivered 20,000 new homes this year and hope to increase that further next. So that's the argument you will hear from the government, that there's two strands to this. There's the housing for all, where they are providing new homes to get people off housing waiting lists to house the homeless. And then, of course, there's this second channel, which is the type of accommodation, you could argue, that would not be suitable for fixing the homelessness problem in Ireland, i.e. hotel accommodation, 12, 14 people in a 3-bedroomed house. That is not how you would fix the Irish, in inverted commas, homelessness problem. That's what they would say. Right. One of your panels said there hasn't been a war in Europe since 1945. Tut. Better check up their history before coming out with them kind of statements on live radio. I think any party that doesn't go into power sharing, the wages should be stopped. And if any of us refuse to work, does our money go on? I don't think so. Will the Ukrainians be given the right to vote? Because I think a lot of people like me and the people in general will not vote Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, the Greens again when the people of Ireland, whatever our nationality, have to be neglected with all the services that have been denied to them. I think really what you're talking to there is this notion that some people have out there is that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and the Greens are so afraid of losing the election that they are bringing people into Ireland to help them win the election. Now, again, we're being told to think for ourselves, do our research, think about it. 1% of the population of an increase is not going to tip the balance in your average general election. Secondly, maybe 40% of those are not of voting age, and the 60%, you can't compel them which way they vote. I don't think people are coming into this country and going, yeah, Fianna Fáil, Greens, Fine Gael. They don't think it like that. They think about the Irish people. So I understand Project Fear is in full force to try and scare people. But think about it logically. Think about it. How could 1%, even 2% of a new population in Ireland, even if they were given the right to vote, and given how many of them are actually adults who could vote, and given the fact that you couldn't actually compel them to vote a certain way, how could this response, for whatever other argument you want to make, how could it be an election advantage? Let me know if you think you have the answer to that one. 08660 25,000. As I say, thinking for ourselves right across the board.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All-Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Are your Christmas orders already flying in? On Post Commerce has some seasonal supports to help your business scale up with smart savings on Advantage Card. Get €119 off a pack of 25 express parcel labels and save on stamps to send greetings to your customers. It's one card you'll really need this Christmas. So register free today at your post office or on post.com/AdvantageCard. On Post Commerce, a world closer. T's and C's apply. Offer ends December 31st.
Did you know that all household electronic and lighting items are free to recycle? When you recycle e-waste, you're not just preventing it going to landfill, you're also giving it new life, recovering valuable resources that can be used again, and stopping harmful substances from entering our environment. Recycle for free with WE at your local authority recycling centre or participating electrical retailer. Visit weIreland.ie for details. A message from We Ireland, the government-approved scheme for electrical and battery recycling.
Lancome has an exclusive beauty gift waiting for you at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny.
Simply purchase 2 Lancome products, one to be skincare, and get a free 8-piece gift containing a full-size comfort mousse, Absolute day and night travel size creams, plus more of your favourite iconic Lancome products. Available until Saturday the 12th of November or while stocks last. T's and C's apply at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Mac Fleetwood, Europe's premier tribute to Fleetwood Mac, live at Ungrainen Theatre, Letterkenny on Saturday the 14th of January. Hear the classic Fleetwood Mac songs that you know and love. Tickets available from Ungrainen Theatre box office and ungrainen.com.
It might be too early to talk about Christmas, but now is the right time to order furniture at McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny if you want it before the decorations go up. Maybe it's a new Irish-made suite, a beautiful dining set, or a luxurious new bed. Whatever you have in mind, there's a great selection in stock for immediate delivery, or to order for a guaranteed pre-Christmas delivery. Visit McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. McGinley's, with great furniture for every room.
The Irish Coast Guard are looking for new watch officers in Malin in Valentia and in Dublin. Watch officers coordinate life-saving missions. No one ever expects that they might suddenly need their help. The Coast Guard are looking for more watch officers so that more lives are saved. You can apply at publicjobs.ie.
It's flu season, and children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu, which can sometimes cause serious illness. That's why all children aged 2 to 17 can get their free nasal spray flu vaccine, a safe and effective way to protect them, and the rest of your family too. So make an appointment with your GP or pharmacist. Visit hsc.ie/flu for more information. From the HSC.
Okay, yesterday we heard that a homeowner, someone living in a house, someone broke into their home, and they, in the course of a struggle or in the course of defending their property, they stabbed the intruder. That person died, and they were sentenced to 3.5 years. Raymond, what's your views on that?
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Pleasure to speak with you. You had a very interesting show yesterday. I'm sort of, look at this, and this is sort of shameful, but beyond shameful. You have a 17-year-old teenage boy. He's a boy. He's not a man, all right, regardless of what people may think. And somebody who's 25 years old breaks into his house, apparently broke into his bedroom, and he's there trying to defend himself. He could possibly be murdered in here, and and then he's sentenced by a judge in here to 3.5 years for defending himself.
You obviously disagree with that.
Yeah, I totally disagree with it. It's like, let's put the shoe maybe on a different foot here. Suppose instead that young man was a young 17-inch girl, and a 25-year-old man broke into her house, broke into her bedroom, maybe tried to rape her, attacked her, maybe tried to murder her. Would the same judge sentence her for defending herself with a knife? And obviously, if the person had to have a knife, they were certainly concerned about people breaking into their house and endangering their lives. Would that same judge have sentenced her to 3.5 years? I mean, I think there'd be just total uproar about this. And like it's a general point in here, at least from my lowly, viewpoint here. If you're a judge, you're basically come from a certain elite political class. You have to belong to a certain group of political parties, either Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Labour. If by chance you're, you're Social Democrat, or you're People Before Profit, or, God forbid, you're Sinn Féin, you can't be considered for anything.
But it's interesting in the judge's remarks because he sort of, mitigated the sentence to some extent. He considered a moderate risk. Sorry, I beg your pardon. He took into account that Kerry was 17 at the time of the incident, showed genuine remorse, and did not expect or instigate violence on the night of the incident. So with that in mind, which is a couple of the points that you've made there, he actually took that into consideration in handing down a 4.5-year sentence with the last year suspended. So what are you supposed to do, I wonder, if someone breaks into your house, and I mean obviously there's panic and everything else involved, in terms of defending yourself or you're defending your family, I mean, are you really in a mental space there to consider the consequences that you actually could find yourself locked up, and prison is a really, really stern penalty, that you could find yourself locked up for 3-4 years for defending your home and your family?
No, I mean, Greg, like I said before, I think this is shameful beyond shameful. It totally discredits the entire so-called judiciary. Like, I mean, if you're defending yourself, you know, you have your partner, your children in there, a little baby, and somebody breaks into your house, like, you know, they're not breaking into your house to give you a Christmas present, you know, and this is just, you know, it seems like if you're a judge in Ireland, you sort of, and maybe I'm being biased.
Yeah, but
here,
the DPP tried to do him twice for murder as well, you know, and then eventually he was convicted of manslaughter, I believe. On his arrest, he said he should not have come into my house. I was asleep. I heard a smash, the front window breaking. He grabbed my mother. He started punching and kicking her. I grabbed a knife and I stabbed him with it. So he claims that in that moment he was defending his mother. Now, in July, he was acquitted of Power's murder. But a jury, because you talk about judges, it was a jury that found him guilty of manslaughter. It was 12 of his peers.
The judges direct the jury, and to a large degree in here. I mean,
come on now, Raymond. You don't mean to tell me that if you were a member of a jury that you'd be told by a judge what to do?
They give instructions to the jury.
Yes,
like,
but
this
it's up
case
to
should
them.
Never been brought.
Yeah, but Raymond, it's up. Yeah, of course. Of course, I understand your point of view there. But it was 12 of this man's peers that heard the evidence, and it was they. Now, of course, it's up to the judge to hand down sentencing, but it was they that found him guilty of manslaughter. You know, this was not like the special criminal court where it was a single individual that made that decision. 12 of his peers found him guilty of manslaughter, technically speaking.
Well, I mean, Greg, I'm sort of at a loss for words, so please excuse me here.
Take your time, Raymond. I hope you don't think I'm trying to befuddle you at all, Raymond.
Oh, no.
That's not my intention. It's just it's the sake of the conversation. Yeah.
It discredits the entire jury system in here. Like, I don't understand how the DPP could even think about, you know, bringing a case against somebody, a big man, 25 years old, and he's a boy, breaks in your house, he's beating up your mother, trying to beat you up, maybe he's trying to rape you, and he's defending himself. And you know, I simply, it's beyond words for me to understand what's going on.
Yeah, but in terms of we're speaking hypothetically about other instances, there's no allegation of along the last part of what you said there. But I understand where you're coming from. I just think if most people here, and text in 08660 25,000, if you were in your home with your family and someone came in the middle of the night, they smashed a window and they came in through a door. We're not trying to in any way condone or promote violence. I hope people don't think that's what I'm doing. Would you be able to, in the heat of that moment, say, right, I'm going to try and control the situation without causing the person who's broken into my house any injury? I don't think that's realistic. I think in a moment, it's like flight or fear. You'll do anything to defend your family.
Yeah, Greg, like this whole thing's just totally beyond me. It's like I don't believe these judges, and maybe I'm generalizing here, are in touch with the real world. They're in touch with reality. I don't believe they live sheltered existences, and I just don't believe they understand what the real world is all about in here. And you know, they live in, you know, $1 million homes or whatever, or Euro homes, and you know, they're very sheltered. I mean, about 2 years ago, there was a very prominent former Irish judge. I believe his name was Fergal Gaynor.
Well, if you're not sure, I just don't want to talk about individuals, if that's okay, Raymond, because I don't know the person, and you're not.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand. This person was appointed to the Kosovo War Crimes Tribunal about 25 years ago. Okay, about 2 years ago, he sort of issued a gentle but very public warning to the people in Dublin about the judiciary. You know, he said something, and this is apparently some old English term I'm not familiar with. It's called deviling, D-E-V-I-L with I-N-G afterwards. Deviling, basically, from what I gather, means you come from a certain elite class and you're ruling on the people who are not from your elite class in here, and you have no contact or no touch in reality with the real world in here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Again, though, I'll bring you back to the point that it was 12 of his peers randomly selected from society that found him guilty. And that being said, though, the manslaughter is one of those crimes that if you're convicted of, there is a huge range in terms of what the judge can convict you, can sentence you for. It goes from community service right up to life imprisonment. So there is a lot of scope within a manslaughter conviction that is afforded the judge. Okay, Raymond, thanks for your time. Points well made. I think a lot of people will agree with you. But we appreciate your time this morning. Okay, back with more shortly.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Hi, Marty Friel here. Hope you can join me this and every Friday night from 8 till 10 p.m. with Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7. Wayne's World Kids Adventure Centre at Arena 7 is a must-visit in Letterkenny with their multi-level soft play area, perfect for kids from babies up to 9 years old. See arena7.ie for more info.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence, driven by the employee's voice. The Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at fulturireland.ie.
The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mizell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour with a brand new live show full of music, song and side-splitting laughter. See The Three Amigos live. Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny, Tuesday, January 3rd. Tickets priced €35 at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where additional fees may apply. The Three Amigos, live in concert. This award-winning show is not to be missed.
To get that job done, call Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny. Generators, portaloos and lighting towers. Also diggers, dumpers, rollers and much, much more. With short-term, long-term and weekend special rates available. Call Gortley Sales and Hire on 91 26 276.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, December 28th, and Omagh St Enda's GAA Club, December 30th. Tickets available from venue box offices, hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
What if someone in the house has medical equipment that uses electricity?
What if my mum has mobility problems and needs to charge her electric walker?
Everyone's concerned about rising energy bills, some more than others. But there could be circumstances that classify you as a vulnerable customer. Just check with your supplier and be sure to register. Talk to your supplier or find out more at cru.ie. Here to shed light on your energy rights. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
Celebrate the long weekend with Top Oil and the year of free fuel. There's more than €55,000 in prizes to be won. Sign up for your chance to win at topoilwin.ie.
Okay, some of your comments here. Raymond made the perfect point. If it was a woman, like he said, she would have been let off and lauded a hero for all women. The man needs to be released. People have won their election seat by 2 votes or more in the past. They have, of course. But that's not going to swing an entire election. And again, there is no guarantee in which free-thinking people might vote. There is absolutely nothing to suggest that people moving here feel they have to thank the government parties with a vote. They are dealing with all different election representatives on the ground, and a lot of the volunteers independent. Good morning, Greg. Just been at Bonagee. The water's still pouring down from Lurgy Brack. Single ring, really possible. barely passable. No council or politician there, no signs up to be careful, no water pumps, drain clearing, nobody taking ownership of this problem, which was evident several times in the past week. Just embarrassing for our town county and anyone who calls themselves an engineer on our roads panel. Coming in from Paul. Morning, Greg. I've heard that some Ukrainians who live 200 to 400 miles away from the war in Ukraine are renting out their homes and coming to Ireland in their cars and vans because of the free handouts and everything else going their way. So not all Ukrainians are victims of war. Would you leave Ireland and go and live somewhere else for €208 a week and free food? If you would, that's fine. But would you? Would you take your family, half of your family, and just move to a random country on the other side of Europe for €208 and a room in a hotel and free food? The Vladimir Putin, in his offensive against Ukraine, has bombed everywhere in Ukraine. But anyway, that's just a fact. It's whether that is enough for that people should stay there. I don't know. It's completely up to you. But, this notion that the war is only happening in 15% of the country, which is often put out there as well, it's you can demonstrate that it simply is not true. Right, I've got one more quick break to catch up on. Stay right where you are. Back with our next guest after this and the weather.
Live free in 23 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly, a luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Every business starts with a question. Can I do it? And an answer. Yes, I can. At Vodafone Business, we're a tech partner to each of our small business customers. And as the main sponsor of the Irish rugby team, we want your business to be seen on the big day with a chance to win free pitchside advertising when Ireland take on Australia. To enter, visit vodafone.ie/business. Vodafone Business. Together, we can. Terms and conditions apply.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. In football, Nike Tiempo Legend Soft Ground in classic black. Adidas Predator Edge. Soft ground boots in classic black. Look like Ronaldo in the new Adidas Man United home or away jersey. Or try Salah in the new Nike Liverpool jersey. Get your free name and number printed when you purchase a jersey. Join our Christmas club by opening an account today at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Millennium Forum, Derry on the 26th and 27th of January. Tickets available from Millennium Forum box office and millenniumforum.co.uk. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Sam is an expert at splitting a bill. If you didn't order a starter, you're not paying for a starter. But he's not an expert when it comes to electric cars. Should he go for mild hybrid, full hybrid? Is he ready for fully electric? All he really knows is that he wants a plug-in one. Luckily, Nissan have been giving people help and advice on electrified vehicles since we introduced the all-electric Leaf back in 2010. So, wherever you are on your journey to electric, head to your local Nissan dealer to see which electrified vehicle suits you. Plug-in or otherwise. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, sunny spells developing with scattered showers following this afternoon and evening. Some showers will be heavy, moderate to fresh southwest winds, highest temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. Now, Donegal Fianna Fáil held its 2022 annual general meeting in Jackson's Hotel Ballybofey last night. Former Taoiseach Mary Coughlin was unanimously elected to the position of chairperson of the executive of Fianna Fáil in Donegal. And Mary Coughlin joins us now. Good morning to you, Mary. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am good. So is this, at least in a public sense, a return to politics for you?
Well, I never left Fianna Fáil, that's the first thing.
Yes.
And what it is a rejuvenation of the organisation. We're looking at what new initiatives we need to do in the context of getting more people to join the party. You'll notice that those who've been elected have been a mix of men and women, younger people and people with experience, representing the majority of the Cortacanter areas in the constituency. And we're there to support the party, the development and the growth of the party, encouraging more members in the party, and doing an awful lot of hard work now in the preparation of the local election, preparing now for conventions. And it's our clear aim that we wish to have more representation at local level, and equally to support at national level our minister and our senator, and to look forward to re-electing 2 people to this constituency, depending, of course, on the outcome of the deliberations that are taking place as to whether it'll be a county constituency or whether it'll be 2 3-seaters.
So your job then to identify at least, well, I presume Charlie McConnell will run again with the backing of the party locally. I presume one of your big jobs then will be to identify a second candidate, probably depending on how the decision, what decision is made in terms of the constituencies or constituency in South Donegal. Identify a candidate, probably female.
Well, that's most presumptuous of you. What we're really doing
it's
is
kind of
looking,
based on what you were saying, though, because you need to find 2 candidates. You've got one. You've talked about the gender balance. You've got one guy. It's just logic. He's in the north of the county.
What we're looking at, first of all, is rejuvenating the organisation and preparing for the local elections. We will be having conventions, as the Taoiseach indicated at the Ardèche recently. We will be having our conventions as quickly and soon as possible, and that will have to be done prior to, I would assume, the summer of this year. And we were looking to identify new candidates in the local electoral areas in support of our existing elected representatives, because I think it's important to say that we have very good political representatives representing the party at local level, and clearly we want to augment and support that representation at local level. Moving on from that, then we will see how we work towards the conventions that will be needed for the Dáil elections, and also the selection of candidates. But it's not going to be a matter for me or for the executive to select candidates. It will be a matter for the party members. And I would take this opportunity now, if I may, to say we are very open to new candidates. We are very open to new members, and we certainly hope that in the very short period of time we will see people who have an interest. And you notice from that executive that is representative of the organisation that they're very enthusiastic and very anxious to get out there and do the hard work. I'm not saying that anyone who is elected is not there to do hard work. Anyone who puts their name forward should be commended and supported in political life. But we feel as a party we can make a difference, and that we have the opportunity now over the next short period of time to get new candidates available within the community, men and women, younger people, talented people and people with experience.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, say for instance at the council level, there's a certain amount of seats available. You know, you have a lot of career politicians in those seats, and you know, Fianna Fáil can only sort of elect a certain amount of people, I'd imagine. Are some tough decisions going to have to be made in terms of people making way for maybe a more diverse, perhaps even younger Fianna Fáil representation on Donegal County Council?
No, I don't see that the case. There are in the electoral areas some candidates and sitting councillors where they have almost capacity representation. There are others in my own electoral area where there are greater opportunities, for example, to have greater representation from the party, as we only have one public representative representing Fianna Fáil at the moment. And certainly we'll be targeting those electoral areas where we see the opportunity to regain seats and to augment the team that goes to the Dáil. So we're there to support that decision-making process, to support the members of the party, to support our elected representatives, and clearly to look forward to opening the opportunities for others to put their name forward in political life. Certainly I'd like to see more women elected to the local authority and equally younger people. But it's a mix of talent that we have. It's a mix of the representation of the constituency and of the county. And clearly we have a lot of hard work to do, but we are up for that job, and we are certainly determined to get as much success as humanly possible and get that support outside of the party then when we do have our candidates put forward.
And obviously you'd be well aware that locally elected representatives, Fianna Fáil representatives, have been unhappy with some decisions that Micheál Martin has made. In fact, some of them on the record perhaps saying it's time for him to give someone else a go. As you sort of take up this important role representing Fianna Fáil in Donegal, I suppose you can look nationally. Like, do you believe, say, for instance, that Micheál Martin is the man to lead Donegal Fianna Fáil and Fianna Fáil as a whole into the next general election?
Well, the Taoiseach is the Taoiseach, and he's the leader of the party, and the party supports him here in the county. Any issues with regard to leadership are really a matter internally for the party members and publicly to be spoken about by the people that are elected to do so. And I'm not certainly going to move into that sphere where I will be making an opinion available when in fact it is those who are elected that make that decision, the members of the parliamentary party and the members of the group. But certainly to say that our job in hand is to look at the constituency, to look at local areas where we have capacity and opportunity, and to encourage new people to come forward. And regardless of what party you are in or none, it is hugely important, as I'm sure you would agree, Greg, that we have very good representation at local level. The local authorities have been stymied in one way in their decision-making process. COVID has had a huge impact on our people and on our representatives, and certainly it's a time to rejuvenate the role of local authorities, because at the end of the day, that is where the real representation comes from, and those, many of whom who cut their teeth, as one would put it, at local level, then have the opportunity to put their name forward at national level. So that's the work in hand. That is what we're trying to do, working with all our members, working with all our elected representatives to ensure that we have greater voice and greater capacity within the county.
Obviously, depending on the makeup of Donegal come the next general election. I mean, you are a woman, you are based in South Donegal, you have form. I mean, a lot of people would say Fianna Fáil was looking for someone to run alongside Charlie McConalogue for a nice geographical spread in a one Donegal constituency. Would you be the ideal candidate? Is it something that you would consider, or would you rule yourself out of that scenario?
Well, Greg, if you remember the party, you could make that decision yourself. But really, look at what I'm doing is I was asked by people in my local area to put my names forward. The chair had retired. There wasn't a chair for some time. There was a hiatus within the organisation. And I said I was prepared to help to support the party and the party members. I am not there to put my name forward as a candidate. Not. I'm there to. But
you haven't ruled yourself out of it either, Mary, which is quite interesting.
Well, I'm not. You know that old adage: I'm neither ruling myself in nor out. That's always the best answer.
I think that's a very, very interesting answer, Mary Coughlin.
But what I'm saying to you is, we'll move on from supposition and rumour.
Okay.
What we're doing is we have work in hand. We have good people there. We want to encourage more within the party. Our Ogra has been tremendous, and I certainly see talent coming from that, and I certainly hope that we will do that.
And
work.
We've been chatting for 6 or 7 minutes now, Mary, and the headline is Mary Coughlin eyes return to national politics. I'm not saying that, but you know the way.
Well, now,
but I know you're not saying that, but you know.
This is not.
I know that.
An opportunity for me
I
this
understand.
is not me relaunching myself in political life. I came on the interview specifically to say that we have a good organisation, we have rejuvenated ourselves, we have a lot of work in hand, and we're prepared to do it, and we're up for the fight. And we have as much of a contribution to make as a party on behalf of the people of Donegal as anyone else. So I think we are up for that battle. When the election is called, as you know yourself, you never know what's going to happen. There are issues in the county, there are serious issues, and we've been very hurt by other issues in the county. So there's a bit of healing to be done within the county, but I certainly feel that Fianna Fáil has a part to play.
All right, former Tánaiste Mary Coughlin, thanks for your time this morning. Chat to you again. Thank you.
Good morning.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Don't know why she's leaving. Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, returns to Donegal on the 30th of October to the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from the Mount Erigal Hotel reception, Joe Gallagher Entertainment office and Ticketmaster.ie.
total ban on sprays proposed. For more in this week's Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Crop and rush sprays in the firing line under EU plans. Future land designations not ruled out by Minister. Farmer fallout from Food Vision Dairy Group report, which recommends a dairy cow exit scheme. Turkish buyers driving the weaning trade. And farmers have 2 months to dezone from land tax.
Plus, find out how you can reduce your feed costs this winter. Only inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced with up to 60% off sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses that are in stock and ready for delivery. With 0% interest-free finance available for up to 2 years and with no deposit, the decision is easy. Oktoberfest sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Call in to see the new look tea room at Spar Glencar. Open daily from 7:30 a.m. Serving breakfast, lunch and dinner. Great food and great service in a warm and friendly setting. Spar Glencar, in the heart of the community.
It's that time of year, the one you've been waiting for. Michael Henney's massive mid-season sale is now on with up to 30% off selected designer brands in store and online. Be the first to grab amazing discounts in women's, men's, kids, home and footwear with fast next day delivery direct to your door or click and collect at michaelhenneys.com.
Join Letterkenny CDP at their Halloween Monster Bash this Saturday the 29th from 12 noon to 5 p.m. in the Courtyard Shopping Centre in association with Shop LK. Everyone welcome to this family-friendly event with fancy dress competition, House of Frightmares and spooky games.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. We say good morning to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A British government minister has confirmed there will be a pre-Christmas election in Northern Ireland after a deadline to restore power sharing passed without agreement at midnight. The DUP is still blocking the formation of an executive in protest over the post-Brexit protocol. The UK's Environment Secretary Trace Coffey confirmed this morning voters will definitely go to the polls. It's thought Chris Heaton-Harris, the Northern Secretary, will confirm December 15th as the polling date. A man and a woman have lost their lives in a road crash near Castleblaney in County Monaghan. Another person is critical after the collision, which involved a lorry and 2 cars on the N2 at Mullaghany. The Gardaí are appealing for information and any dashcam footage that may be available. A priest from the Diocese of Raphoe has been appointed as Bishop of Ossory, taking in County Kilkenny and parts of Carlow and Laois. The appointment was made by Pope Francis and confirmed by the Vatican in the past few minutes. Father Niall Call, who is 59, is celebrating a special Mass at St Mary's Cathedral in Kilkenny this morning, at which he is being formally introduced to the diocese. The Cathaoirleach of the Lifford Stranora Municipal District says there has been positive feedback regarding a pilot retrofitting scheme being carried out in the district. Councillor Patrick McGowan says that 3 housing schemes in the Lifford and Castlefin areas have been provided with retrofitted air-to-water heating as well as updated insulation and wiring. He says the pilot was a success and it can now be rolled out, he believes, to further areas of the county and beyond. Continued care is being urged on roads across the northwest this morning after torrential rain earlier saw large amounts of surface water on the region's roads. Flooding was reported in many areas of Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. The road between Greysteel and the airport roundabout in County Derry was closed for a time. That has now reopened. The situation has eased after the rain stopped earlier this morning, but Gardaí and the PSNI are both urging high levels of caution, saying surface water may still pose a threat in some areas. As you've just been hearing on the show with Greg, former Taoiseach Mary Coughlin has been elected chair of the Donegal Executive of Fianna Fáil. She was returned unanimously at the Executive's AGM in Ballybofey last night. Speaking to Greg on the programme, she said her prime reason for taking the position was to rebuild the party across the county. She didn't rule out a return to active politics herself, but neither would she rule it in. And Transport Infrastructure Ireland doesn't always get it right. That's according to Councillor Michael McBride. He's called on TII to re-examine the possibility of including a climbing lane on the N56 in the Bluebanks area near Kilmacrennan. He says while the works carried out on the route have greatly enhanced that particular road, an issue with slow traffic remains in that area, and he believes a second lane for slow-moving traffic would be an advantage. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you, Donald.
Hi, my name is Julie. I have a disability and work in a busy cafe. I love meeting the customers, the buzz, the chats. It's a really great place to work. So, if like me, you're a young person claiming disability allowance, you'll be invited to chat about the employment and training supports available to you. Taking part is your choice, but it could be a great opportunity. For more information, visit gov.ie/work supports disability. Brought to you by Intro, a Government of Ireland initiative.
No, before we...
This is a genuine story voiced by an actor.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Now, before we introduce Michael and Fionnuala to you for the entertainment item for this week, that's entertainment, just to let you know that thanks to our friends at Dunloe GEA, they've been bringing the show to you this week as our sponsors, and they have a fantastic fundraising drive, as you would know, and we are going to give you the chance now to win some tickets. It's win it all. 500 quid a week for a year, 5 nights in Dubai, there's dinner away, nights away, and there's also accommodation and tickets to the All-Ireland football and hurling semi-finals. You're sorted for the year. You could win 3 free tickets if you know the answer to this question and you enter. So listen up, and then after that, it's Michael and Fionnuala.
On today's show, with thanks to our sponsors Dunloe GAA, we're giving 2 lucky winners the chance to win 3 tickets each for the Live Free in 2023 draw. This amazing draw has 5 fantastic prizes, including €500 into your bank account every week in the year 2023 and a luxury 5-night holiday to Dubai. For a chance to win your tickets, simply answer the following question. What are Dunloe GAA's club colours? Is it A, pink and white, or B, red and white? Text or WhatsApp the word HI, plus your answer, name and address, to 086 60 25,000. Standard rates apply.
All right, it is time for That's Entertainment with Michael and Fionnuala. Good morning to you, Michael. How are you getting on?
Hello, Greg. How's the
Great to
farm?
have you back on the show.
Good to be
Fionnuala, Rabbit, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm very good.
Why aren't you with us? I mean, what's wrong? Like, have we upset you or something? You're on Zoom somewhere. We don't know where.
Oh, no. Well, I had to come back down here to go away now. Actually, it's lovely and sunny here. So the problem, if I look a bit fuzzy, it's because it's very sunny. But no, I've come down to go away for a few things here myself. So
Lovely.
And Mike upset me with after going to see Black Adam. So I'm over it.
Did you see Black Adam?
Yeah.
Fionnuala, you did? Okay, right. Well, we'll start with you this week because we started in the cinema with you last week, Fionnuala. So, Black Adam, this is a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film. He's been trying to make this film for a very, very long time. He finally got it made. My word, they're putting some money into promotion in terms of adverts and billboards and absolutely everything. Is it any good?
Well,
I'm starting with Michael Fionnuala.
Oh, that's perfect. I thought you said you were starting with me.
I started with you last
Michael
week.
knows more about it than me. That's
No, equal. Go on ahead, Michael.
This is great. Even when Fionnuala's not here, we can all still fight. It's wonderful. It's just this is technology at its best. Yeah, this is The Rock. This is the new DC superhero movie. The character is an anti-hero. So the idea is that he says in the movie, "I'm no hero," and we get his backstory, and we find
DC is Batman, Spider-Man,
Superman,
and such. Okay, yeah.
Superman, not Spider-Man. And
Beg your
Batman
pardon, yeah.
does. Yeah, that's fine. We'll get you there yet. Myself and Fionnuala, we'll get you there yet.
You're slightly more committed than Fionnuala. I don't think she really cares if I get there or not, if the truth be told.
No, you're my pet project.
Okay.
You are my pet project. So basically, yeah, so we get his backstory. We find out that he's from a made-up Middle Eastern country. We find out that he's sort of connected to the Shazam hero that we saw a few years ago. And we basically get a new group of heroes that we've never seen before, the Justice Society, and Pierce Brosnan is one of the actors in that particular group. So the story plays out in very predictable fashion, I have to say. There's plenty of action, and the action is spectacular most of the time, but it does become quite repetitive. You're constantly seeing The Rock, who plays this incredibly powerful character. A character could rival Superman. He's that strong. He can do pretty much anything. You get to see him taking on various actual bad guys. And we see that although he says, I'm no hero, of course, he will, of course, do the right thing when it comes down to it.
A reluctant hero.
Yes, exactly. The Rock is The Rock. He's very charismatic. This is, in terms of box office, this is his biggest opening ever. This is his biggest film. Okay. Yeah, he was posting it himself last night on social media. The numbers are in and so forth. But I have to say, for me, this was a very standard affair. It was just middle of the road, maybe actually a little bit below, maybe a 5 out of 10. It was just
5 out of 10's crap. You know that, don't you?
Well, it's. I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, I got to say, I didn't really enjoy it. There was a lot of characters I didn't care about. And when you get to the third act of this movie, it works best if you have an emotional investment in some of these characters.
I just feel that maybe, is it possible that Marvel is like iPhone and DC is Android, and you're an iPhone user and you've gone into a DC. I've forgotten the metaphor now.
Yeah, but it was good.
Anyway, I just wonder if you're going in there with too much loyalty and emotional baggage.
I'm reminded of those Laurel and Hardy moments when Stanley would come up with something brilliant. Oliver would ask him to repeat it, and he would completely fail.
That is me.
That is you.
You get me live, that's it.
That's it. I think part of it may be that, but honestly, myself and Fionnuala were saying this, and you'll hear her thoughts in a moment, that the emotional investment that you're expected to have in this movie doesn't materialise because we've only met these characters. One thing Marvel does very well is it introduces the characters.
But why do you need to know so much about the characters?
In any film.
All of us. I don't need to know that much about the characters.
Well, in any film, when you get to the end of a film, right? Forget a superhero movie for the end of it. If we'll say it's a man dying, he's the leader of a wealthy family or something like that, and he dies, like we saw in Knives Out or something like that. The movie should make you care to some degree about the guy.
Well, no, in fairness, some of the biggest criticisms of stuff I've had is that I didn't feel in any way emotionally invested in any character. I'd come back to you. Fionnuala, some of the criticism of Black Adam has been that it's a setup movie, and we've talked about these films in the past, where they're the beginning of something, and I presume that must be the case with this, and that, it's okay, but it is a setup movie for what is to follow. Does that form part of your opinion of it, or what is your opinion?
No, I don't have a problem with them being a setup movie because, to be honest, they all end up being a setup movie. Like DC, DC Comics have had probably 5 or 6 setup Batmans because they keep trying to set it up into a long-standing franchise, and it's only the current one that's actually managed to hold through for a few of them for them. But to me, the problem is exactly what Michael said. You're watching this movie. The explosions and everything are great and they're fine. But it's the same as what you've seen in all.
We've seen it. Yeah, we've seen it.
But they kind of went on the premise that you knew the backstory of it, and there's a lot of time. It's a very long movie. Like, it's about 2.5 hours nearly. The movie is, and they put a lot of stuff into it, and they kind of drew stuff out. And whereas if they had spent that with a bit more character development, you'd have actually cared in it. Because not only maybe people may know who Black Adam is. There's another character in it that's played by, and now all I can think of is Remington Steele rather than his actual name.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go on ahead, yeah.
Just because when we were talking about Remington Steele. Pierce Brosnan's character in it is one that even Michael has read his comics before. But then there's like 3 or 4 characters in it, and you're like, they seem to be like, even in the comic book world, a lesser characters, and you just don't know anything about it. It's like they're trying to have a little romance going on one side of it, and you're like, I don't even know why these 2 characters are in it.
So do you think this is a post-production problem, Fionnuala? Like a storytelling problem, I wonder? We never know unless we saw the raw footage, but you know what I mean.
I'd assume that it's the way that it ended up being cut, that you just don't know. Now, maybe if I'd been a massive Black Adam comic book fan, but to be honest, I'd never even heard of this comic book, and I don't think... Michael's quite a comic book fan. You don't want to see his collection. It's scary.
Fans, one word to describe him, yeah.
Keep it nice.
And even he didn't know an awful lot about it. So you kind of wonder, you know, is it a niche crowd that they've made this for when they're not explaining?
Have we
it
come to the
further?
point now where we judge films based on the fact that, well, even Michael didn't know the background to it? I mean, is it like even he did not
Well, when
know
it comes
the
to
inside
comic
leg
books,
measurement of Black Adams?
I would bow down to him when it comes to his
Yeah.
comic books. The man knows his comic
And
books.
Baywatch.
Well, this is in
And
fair,
Baywatch.
and Baywatch, of course, yeah. But DC is always kind of a mystery to me. I was never a DC reader, but I do agree. I agree
The only
with what you're
thing
saying,
of any
yeah.
of those DC stuff I liked was the trilogy of Batman films from what's his face. All the other Batmans are rubbish. I don't know, that Joker film, the one with what's his face
Yeah,
in,
I
that
know.
was quite good.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than that,
Joaquin Phoenix,
yeah,
yeah.
I hate Superman. Who
Yeah, I
else
didn't
is
like
there?
that either.
Is
Yeah.
that-
The
who
Superman-
else is there?
Well, the Superman one now is the Henry Cavill guy, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
I just never liked
managing to keep that
Superman.
going.
I never liked
Fair enough.
Superman, and I was in a family of people that really liked Superman, and I was just like, ugh.
That must have made it awkward at Christmas and
Yeah.
meals and like
People running around with plastic Supermen and me going, no. But who else is there? So there's Batman.
Wonder Woman.
See, there you go again. Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, though, her
Aquaman.
films were quite good.
The first one was very good.
You see, it's a weak cast, isn't it? Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman's not. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Right, okay, so...
Aquaman movies.
Yeah, 5 out of 10 from what's his face, Michael.
I tell you, I will give it a little bit more than 5 out of 10, if only because at one point they've superimposed the Rock's face.
Oh yeah,
on a regular sized body, and it is worth going to cinema just to see how the Rock would have looked if he had not become as big as he did when he was in his early teens.
That freaked Fanula out. She talked about that.
Oh my god, it was just like it's
talked
the
about
bizarre
that.
thing.
It's like
worth
he wouldn't
going
be able
just
to cut it
see
as a
that.
regular person. Remember, you were really shocked.
But
by
I think
that.
You're not alone.
Is
I
it-
would give it a 6.5. I
is
mean,
it-
it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just that it's like it's fine.
But I think we can accept that whilst yous have gone in and what yous are looking for a film, I think if people want to go in there and see all the bells and whistles, a new sort of superhero, anti-hero, whatever it might be, that's why it's done so well at the box office. It's going to tick those boxes big
it has
time,
all
isn't
the
it?
explosions that you're looking for. It has all the kind of superhero fighting and different things like that. If people are aware of the comics, or maybe even if they do a little bit of a read
if they
beforehand,
don't, yeah,
of
even if they
characters
don't.
around it, you might go into it fresh into it. It's just, I think I went into it thinking The Rock supposedly spent 15 years trying to get this film made. This is his pet project. He loved the comic books because he felt that, you know, this is a person of color. There's not that many superheroes of color in the different thing. This is kind of the Wakanda, the Black Panther of the DC world, from what I can gather from stuff that I've read. And in that sense, I just felt a little bit left out. So maybe my expectations were a little bit
It does deliver the action. It does. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
It really
Right.
delivers the
If you
action.
like The Rock and you want an action movie, then this is a good bet.
Exactly. And I've not really seen him in a bad film, if the truth be told.
Yeah.
He's like one of those actors that generally picks good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, thanks so much for that so far. We're going to be talking about The Watcher next, which is an interesting one because The Watcher was slated a little bit by critics, I think, but the public seem to like it, seem to enjoy it. Anyone I've spoken to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we'll see if that's the case. Have you been watching it?
No, but
Fanula has, so stay there. We'll be back to hear what Fanula has to say about it in a moment, and you can just nod in approval.
Great for radio.
Yeah.
Live free in 2023 with Dunlow GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
You might think you know Ireland's ancient East, but maybe it's time for a closer look. Uncover stories bold and brave where vibrant city nights follow action-packed days. Set course for countless adventures at Carlingford Adventure Centre, or roam wild in wonder in the Glen of Aherlow and become captivated by the culture and craft of Kilkenny's cobbled streets. Ireland's ancient East, yours to explore. Keep discovering at discoverireland.ie.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, returns to Donegal on the 30th of October to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception, Joe Gallagher Entertainment office and Ticketmaster.ie.
Residential property owners. Has your property been newly built or refurbished to a livable condition since November 1st last year? If so, you need to submit a local property tax return by the deadline of December 2nd, 2022. For further information, go to revenue.ie. Don't miss the deadline. File your LPT return on time.
Want to save over €65 off your weekly family shop? SuperValue makes it as easy as 1, 2, 3. With low prices that match Aldi on the products you love, like SuperValue unsmoked turkey rashers, only $2.29, and SuperValue spaghetti 1 kilo, only 99¢. Plus thousands of branded special offers, along with money off vouchers each week. You don't see that in Aldi.
If you're about to use an electrical appliance, like your hairdryer, which uses a lot of energy, just ask the question, is this a good time?
Yeah, electricity demand's fairly low. You're looking good.
If it's before 5 p.m. or after 7 p.m, it is a good time because it's outside of peak hours when less of us are using electricity at the same time. For customised advice, tips and helpful information, such as finding out the best times to use electrical appliances like your hairdryer, sign up to our pilot at esbnetworks.ie/pilot.
Avoid the hustle and bustle of town and call into the Glencar Shopping Centre. There's a bar, a restaurant, pharmacy, supermarket, hairdressers, butchers, post office, filling station, laundrette, car wash, sunbeds, barbers, gym, pet shop and bookmakers. With ample car parking, it's your perfect one-stop shop for all your daily needs. The Glencar Shopping Centre, in the heart of the community for over 20 years.
Okay, right. Welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're talking entertainment with Fionnuala and Michael. Right, so talk to me then about The Watcher on Netflix, Fionnuala, please.
Yeah, The Watcher, I decided to watch this because I wanted to watch something Halloween-y, and I said might be less brutally scary, as I'm not very good with that, as everybody knows, or anybody that listens knows it. So I went for this, The Watcher. It's based on a true story, which also is always something that attracts my attention, and it's a very bizarre true story. So basically, it's these people have decided to move out of the city. It kind of implies that it's New York, out to kind of like a Connecticut type area in the TV program. And what they're doing is they've moved into this beautiful big house, and they're going to do it up. And then after a while, or not very long after they're in it, a couple of days after they're in it, they start receiving anonymous letters. And the anonymous letters say initially just that I'm watching you and you've come to the neighborhood and this is what it is. Eventually it starts listing their children's names. Then it starts saying, why or any changes they're making to the house and things like that it doesn't like. And then when the TV program then explores who the Watcher may actually be. And there is an amazing cast in this. That's one of the main things about it. I have to open up my phone again now because I have them all written down. You have Bobby Cannavale, I think is how you pronounce it, and Mia Farrow, who plays one of the neighbors. You have Jennifer Coolidge that's in it. Yeah, and Naomi Watts, who plays Bobby's wife. And so it's a really outstanding cast that's in it. I wasn't overly gone on it, though.
Have you watched all 8 episodes?
No, I'm up as far as 5. So I haven't gotten to the finale.
Are you wobbling?
I am wobbling a bit with it now, and I'm kind of like going, I rarely don't finish anything, so I probably will go back out.
Right, so what's the problem with it then? And by the way, if anyone out there has watched The Watcher, let us know what you thought about it. 086 60 25,000. Get involved in the conversation. Yeah. So what could go so horribly?
Maybe it turns itself around in the end. Well, it's promoted with this, it's got this huge cast and that kind of thing in it, and it's very promoted. It's a couple of things about it that it's very Netflixy. It kind of Netflix. For me, anyways, and I don't know what's going on.
Does that mean they're dragging the arse out of it? What does that?
They're definitely dragging them. They're definitely dragging it out because it's very hard to keep the tension going over 7 episodes when there technically isn't a bad guy, in the sense that they don't know who the bad guy is. It's not like it's somebody that's actually physically assaulting them in any way. This is somebody that's just trying to scare, you know what I mean? That's scaring them. And you have to, that's a very hard thing to keep going for 7 episodes. And after a while, then when they keep whining and giving out about it, you're like, just move. You know what I mean? Just
Katie is 5 episodes into it and she thinks it's brilliant.
See?
Kevin's 5 into it. They're all like, oh, what's going to happen? Who could it be? But
Well,
it hasn't grabbed you like that.
No, it hasn't grabbed me like that. Now, I did do a little bit of the old Googling when,
well, you
and
see.
maybe I
No,
spoiled it a bit for
do
myself.
You can't do that. I mean, hold on. Can we just erase all of Fanula's review there, because you know the outcome, so you're
disappointed in you, Fanula.
No,
You know how
this
the
is a
story.
completely
Yes,
different
but
thing. But
you
you're,
know, but you know how
when
the
we go
story.
off air, I'll tell you the outcome, and then you'll
No,
realize.
then you'll ruin it for me. Yeah, but
because the TV program isn't really like the reality of it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
but
there's a
you
lot
know
more
where they're
stuff
going
on
with it.
Well, I mean, with this, they've tried to bring in now a whole supernatural element into it.
Right, okay.
They're bringing all these different elements.
I
into
get
it.
you now. That would
They
put me
bring
off
in
right away.
Yeah, they have then next minute then the daughter has a story where she's off with some fella that's too old for her, and we're supposed to care about that as well. I'm like, I can only care about so much. And I mean, it's fine as a drama, it's perfectly fine. But would I be considering this as something like, as I said, I sat down to watch this as kind of like, oh, this could be something good for people to watch over Halloween. It has a few scares. That's kind of a bit more like I don't want to say, well, I do, I suppose I'm going to say it, but like a smart kind of a drama. Do you know what I mean? That it's more kind of in your head sort of a fright, rather than just, a slasher type of a...
Yeah, but to drag that out over 7 or 8 episodes is a big ask.
It's way too long.
So after 5 episodes, what are you giving it out of 10?
I have to say, I'd still only be sitting around the 6 or so. It's just
that's the same as Black Adam.
I know, it's fine. It
okay, fair enough.
Just didn't do for me.
Stay where you are. Aideen MacArthur is Head of Culture with Derry City and Strabane District Council. Good morning, Aideen. Thanks for joining us.
Morning. Thank you very much for having me.
All very, very exciting. Derry's internationally acclaimed Halloween festival. Over 4 nights. Is it bigger and better than ever, I suppose, after an enforced break?
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first year, obviously, since 2019. It's been our full program. So this year sees the return of our carnival parade, sees all of our, as you know, things kick off here for the festival tonight from 6 until 9. With the Awakening the Wall City. And as those of you who are familiar with the festival, last year we brought it right across the river into St. Colum's Park. So it was so successful that we've continued that new layout for tonight, tomorrow night and Sunday night. And then Monday night obviously is the big night here, as you know. Well, the next 3 nights are big nights, but Monday night obviously is the culmination of the festival with our carnival parade. Everybody will be delighted here is back at 7 o'clock on Monday night, followed by the fireworks, the world famous fireworks, Halloween fireworks display here in the city that everybody absolutely loves. So we're absolutely thrilled to have the parade back this year. It has nearly 700 participants from community groups right across the Northwest, and we are thrilled to have it back. It's a real highlight. Those images go right across the world. We work closely with our partners, particularly Tourism Ireland, to send that message right across the world. And we're expecting lots of international visitors this weekend, right across the Northwest. Our hotels are full, our restaurants, hospitality, retail, everybody is very excited about this event. And as you know, this year, as we did last year, we have extended our activity. So we're working closely with Donegal County Council to deliver some activity in Swan Park in Buncrana. So it's a really exciting few days.
Yeah, and so people can just call in at most of the weekend and something will be going on, or is it signposted literally or metaphorically, or how will people sort of find out what to do?
So derryhalloween.com has all of the details of all of the activity. There is a full program of lots of things to do right across the city and district, and as I say, right into Donegal. All of the details are there, all of the traffic and travel information. Obviously the Awakening the Wall City is from 6 until 9 tonight, tomorrow night and Sunday night, and then fireworks and parade. But there is so much stuff on everywhere, all day, everywhere, and there's a full program that's available on the website. And I know there's a number of copies of the program out and about right across the Northwest. So yeah, really looking forward to welcoming everybody back here to the city. And and we obviously on Monday night we'll have activity and fireworks in Strabane town as well. But obviously the city is the big international focus, and we're looking forward to having everybody back this year.
Brilliant, and it's great to have all the bells and whistles again. Lots of pent up excitement for it as well, which will all be released, I'm sure, across the region over the weekend. Brilliant stuff. Thanks for the heads up on that. Just give us that website again if people want to plan what they're doing.
It's derryhalloween.com.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. That is Aideen there. Are you a big Halloween person, Fionnuala? Because we do know your temperament for horror films. Well, you don't have any,
Yeah.
really. Your tolerance for them, sorry.
I know,
Funny
it's
enough,
so loud.
actually, I watched, background watched pretty much all of the Final Destination films because it stuck in my head that this is the last horror. I think maybe you went to see one since this is the last horror. It's not even a horror that Fionnuala went to see.
Yeah, it scared the jeepers out of
Have
you.
you grown up at all, Fionnuala?
No. No, I mean, I've gone to see a couple of bits with Michael, but
Yes.
Michael went to see Halloween, the new Halloween movie, which I'm dying to hear about. But he was like, "Will you come?" And I was like, "No, that's not happening." Yeah, no, I'm still Final Destination. Did it not I mean, your time is your time.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah, no, did it for me. Man.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Maybe it's my age. I'm getting too old.
Right, so shall we talk about Halloween then?
We can do if you want, yeah.
Again, this is another one, mixed reviews.
Yes, very much
A lot
mixed
of expectation for this. This is part of a trilogy as such, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This is a trilogy. It started in 2018. Jamie Lee Curtis came back. She's the original Laurie. Well, she's Laurie.
She
There's
is Laurie, yeah.
She is Laurie. And as I think I said last year when there was one of these out, there's actually multiple timelines because they keep rebooting it. So to watch this one, you just ignore the other 9 in the middle and just these 3 are a sequel to the
Same as
first one.
Batman.
Yeah, they just keep restarting.
Superman.
It, yeah, they just keep restarting.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. Someone needs to come up with new ideas, don't they?
I know, someone has to. We'll do it. So basically, this trilogy, the first one was brilliant. I loved it. The second one, I absolutely hated. I just didn't get it at all. And I went along to see the third one last night. It's very divisive, as you said, Greg. Very divisive. And I have to say, it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie because Michael Myers, the antagonist of all the movies, isn't really in this. He's just a supporting character. And the focus of this movie is a character called Corey. Corey lives in the same town as Michael Myers, the famous town where all this has happened. And he's a bit of an outcast. People in the town, even though he's basically innocent, they blame him for something that happened a few Halloweens ago. We see all this in the movie. So he's an outcast and he's badly treated. He's bullied. Now he's probably about 20, 21, 22. It's an indeterminate age. But he's a young fella and he gets a lot of grief from the people. And we follow his story. So there's no action
But we don't want to?
Well,
because it's Halloween? Why are they trying to be clever and reinvent something?
Yeah,
you watch it for Michael Myers.
Exactly, yeah, I know. That's yes, that's the response of quite a lot of people. So over the course of this movie, not much action in the first hour, just a lot of character build-up, and Laurie is there and her family's there. Then Corey's path intersects with Michael Myers in an intriguing manner. And then in the second half of the movie, you get lots of action. And
now, one of the criticisms is that, I mean, it's obviously front-loaded to the back or back-loaded. And I was kind of interested to hear it mentioned as it relates to a slasher movie because we know that a lot of it's misogynistic violence over the top. And
yeah.
I mean,
this one
is that people being too sort of sensitive? Or?
No, I think there's an accuracy in that. I mean, you can read that into it, definitely. I think this one leans away from that because it doesn't have the tropes of the slasher movie in the same way that some of the Halloween do, or all of the Friday the 13th, in which Jason is going around killing all these teenagers who are just getting it on, and that's the whole meat and potatoes of that franchise. It's clear watching this third movie, which I did enjoy much more than last year. I wouldn't rave about this one, but I did enjoy it. It's clear that the creators are taking it very seriously in the same way that the creators of Dexter took Dexter very seriously at the end of Dexter.
Yeah.
And I would say too seriously considering he's like a pop culture character. But they clearly want to finish their trilogy by taking a very serious look at Michael Myers and a very serious look at the nature of evil in society. And I don't know that this is the correct vehicle.
No, because you see, if I watch a horror film, right, I want to step out of reality.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't want it framed in
realistic
cultural. I'll watch drama for that if I want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you, yeah.
But I can see
horror is
can't keep
cathartic.
making the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, they want to do something fresh. Horror, I agree with you, Greg. Horror is cathartic. The horrors of the real world are too horrific to contemplate a lot of the time. But if you're watching a straightforward Dracula tracking down, people in a big haunted castle, it's therapeutic to watch that. Or Haunting of Hill House, which was enormously therapeutic. What they've done with this, they've brought the real world into it. They have the best of intentions. It's not for everybody. It's not particularly scary, to be quite honest, and it's not even that bloody, although there are some bloody deaths in the last half hour. But I did enjoy it because I could recognise they were doing something, and it wasn't what I expected to see when I went into the cinema last night.
I'm reading between the lines here. Have they set up? Are they setting up another character for future films?
I can't really answer that without spoiling things.
Well,
but let's be honest.
It all sounds a little bit obvious.
Let's be honest. There's the franchise. This trilogy is over.
It sounds to me like a passing of the.
The franchise will continue in one form or another. They've already rebooted it several times. I mean, this is making money. They'll reboot it or start it again.
Because horrors are cheap to make. That's why there's so many horrors out there. They are cheap to make.
Absolutely.
Right, on to Watcher. I was watching a few episodes last night. No, it's not for me, says the listener, Fanula. Michael Healy-Rae and the documentary Living with Lucy. Fabulous, so uplifting. That comes in from Maeve. The Stranger 2022, true story on Netflix. Very good film about police trying to catch a cold killer. The Watcher is okay. The Stranger, that sounds familiar. Let me see.
It's a new one on Netflix.
Is it new? Right, okay. Yeah. By the way, did you know that Dracula has connections to Donegal, Dracula and Frankenstein? There's a few stories to say Bram Stoker's mum hailed from Ballyshannon. It wouldn't be the first time someone claimed someone famous from Ballyshannon. Elizabeth Dixon, maternal grandmother of Frankenstein author Mary Shelley, also hailed from Ballyshannon. That comes in from Kevin and Dunlow, the oldest town in Ireland, apparently. And just to let you know that the Carndonagh Traders Association, in conjunction with Inishowen Carnival Group, will be bringing the streets alive with Voices of the Sea Halloween Carnival. It's on Sunday from 6 p.m, so if you want to get along to that. Right, okay. What are you giving Halloween out of 10? It sounds like it's very
7.
subjective. Right,
7,
okay,
yeah, it's very subjective,
I think you're just trying to make Fanula feel bad for not going to it. It's not really a horror, and it's 7 out of 10. Do you get the feeling he's just trying to...
I know. He's trying to lull me into a sense that I'll eventually go and then be completely...
It would have been...
I need to be institutionalized afterwards.
No joke, but it would have been very interesting to hear your take on it, because it's not a straight-up horror film.
I don't know.
And to be honest, I find it hard to watch that anyways, because I did love the original is as old as me nearly. You know, like when the original came out, I was in my teens, and you're kind of in your teens, early 20s type things when the first ones came out, and we were petrified. You were petrified.
And you were wondering, well, people would argue, well, who's better? Is it him? Is it Freddy Krueger? Is it Jason? You know, and you know what the films were. They were nonsense, but they were there I just don't understand why people are trying to get clever with an old horror franchise, because it is, quite literally what it is.
People are going to that not for the smartness. They want the scares. They want that petrified feeling that even as you're leaving the cinema and walking to the car park, you're like, we're all going to die. We're all going to die.
Yeah. And how many sort of 18, 19-year-olds got back from the cinema and 55-year-old dads sit in the front room? What did you think? What did you send us to that for? Oh, they've changed how it's done. All right, listen, we'll be back with more from our guests after these.
Live free in 23 with Dunlow GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly. A luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
At Centra, for this bank holiday weekend, choose from our amazing mega deals. Like Inspired by Centra sirloin steak 440 gram, only €7. Inspired by Centra selected breakfast range, any 3 for €6. And Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc and Faustino 5 Red, €10 each. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Quilcha cares for Ireland's forests sustainably. As our country seeks to combat climate change, we'll do more. Our ambition is to create new forests, manage our existing forests for greater carbon capture, and provide more habitats to enhance biodiversity. We'll support creating new homes by delivering sustainable Irish wood products. And we'll increase the number of beautiful forest recreation spaces for everyone to enjoy. Quilcha, forests for climate, nature, wood and people, for a greener future for all.
Rediscover the real taste of America at Stateside American Restaurant, serving you freshly cooked food in a family fun, friendly environment. Get a delicious 3-course meal for only €19.50. Available all day, every day, alongside our main menu. Full bar also available. Walk-ins welcome. Or to book, please call 074 91 13 333. Stateside American Restaurant, Letterkenny.
The hilarious It's the Real McCoy by Tommy Marin is coming to Grain Theatre Letterkenny this Friday, October 28th.
He had no go in him. If there was work to be done in the bed, he'd sleep in the wardrobe.
It's the Real McCoy, Letterkenny, this Friday night. See on grainon.com. Book now.
It might be too early to talk about Christmas, but now is the right time to order furniture at McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny if you want it before the decorations go up. Maybe it's a new Irish-made suite, a beautiful dining set, or a luxurious new bed. Whatever you have in mind, there's a great selection in stock for immediate delivery, or to order for a guaranteed pre-Christmas delivery. Visit McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. McGinley's, with great furniture for every room.
It's where you live. It's where you relax. It's where you make memories. Treat your home to a visit to Cooney's Home Interiors. We have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Okay, a lot of entertainment for people tonight will be in Finn Park, because Finn Harps really do need a result against UCD tonight in their last home game of the season. And you know, when you're framing games, Dermot Doherty, who's our soccer correspondent here at Highland Radio, when we do frame games, you're always trying to make out that they mean something. Do you know what I mean? You know the way they do. This could mean that, and that could. But this is everything really in terms of where football's being played. What division football is being played next season, it all comes down to this game and hopefully another.
Yeah, and you know what, Greg? We have been kind of gearing ourselves towards this game for a few weeks now. At this stage, you've always known that the match against UCD was coming up towards the end of the season, and it was always going to be so important. And unfortunately for Harps, they haven't able to be building enough points ahead of this to make this match kind of, well, you wouldn't say null and void, but you would have hoped they'd have enough points on board at this stage that they wouldn't have needed a major result tonight. But unfortunately, they're going in tonight knowing that they have to avoid defeat, Greg, to keep their very slim hopes of avoiding the drop alive.
So is this still in Finn Harp's hands, effectively?
Yes, it is.
And that's really what you want heading into a game. Yeah. You don't want to be having to rely on results elsewhere.
That's exactly it. They have a good goal average, which is a key factor at this late stage of the season. And yes, it's in their own hands. If they win tonight, they're back level on points going into the final games of the season. Harps will be away from home against Drogheda, and UCD will be at home to Shamrock Rovers. Now, okay, they're Crown League champions, but it's a big ask for UCD to defeat Shamrock Rovers. So, two wins.
It's a big ask for Shamrock Rovers to get up for a game when the title's already in the bag. But the sport always throws up these conundrums,
It does, and we know that Harps have 2 games left to play, 2 wins, and they'll be okay.
You can't look elsewhere. You have to look at where it's at. And I mean, we can't look ahead, but you would fancy them in the promotion relegation playoff, would you?
Well, it depends who you talk to on that, Greg. I mean, if you talk to Ollie Horgan, he would point out that look at the quality that's in that first division. Waterford and Treaty United, Longford and Galway, that's the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. It's looking like it's going to be Waterford because they have a strong advantage after their first leg. But both Waterford and Treaty were in the FAI Cup semi-finals, beat Premier Division opposition along the way. So listen, you can't take anything for granted on that.
Yeah, Aidan Campbell's commercial director with Finn Harps. I mean, you know, a lot said about the 12th man. You'd want a game like this to be a home game, and you would want an awful lot of people out there roaring the team on, Aidan.
Yes, definitely, Greg. I mean, as Jimmy just said, it's been a very difficult season. I think we go back to those great scenes at the victory against Longford at the end of last year, and you know, a lot of people on the pitch, just great atmosphere, and the fans really played a crucial part. You know, if we stay up this year, it will be the 7th out of 8 year in the Premier Division, so that would be a great achievement, and the fans have just been a huge part of that. And Ollie spoke earlier in the week about, you know, the fact that they keep coming to matches, they've been going to away matches, really getting behind the team, and what, you know, it really does make a huge difference. So if we can the players have to do their part. There can be no excuses. We've played UCD 4 times, and this would be the first time we beat them. They've got a good team, but with the fans, as you say, Greg, getting behind the team tonight, it would make a huge difference, and we need to go out there, and we've got the experience and ability to win the match.
Look, and that's decided on the pitch. But I mean, it is a business, and relegation is a big blow because in terms of travel, where you have to go, sponsorship, and with the new, with things progressing with the new ground and what have you. This just would be a really, really good year. They're all good years, but this would just be really a great year for Finn Harps to pull off the great escape.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we lost at the start of the year. I think it's in one way it was a tribute to the recruitment from Ollie and the management team that we lost 13 players at the start of this year. So he pretty much had to start almost from scratch. We had to look everywhere for to try and put together a team that could compete this year. And it was always going to be very, very difficult. We're one of 2 part-time teams in the division, so that presents obviously huge challenges. So, I think everyone is realistic about what to expect, but as you say, staying in the Premier Division, the profile of the club, the recent good news about the stadium, we have actually got our new stadium draws coming to a conclusion after the match tonight, and for €20,000, so people can still get tickets for that online. So we've a lot of fundraising ahead, and we do have a vision for the club. The academy teams continue to do well. Our under-14s are in the national final, which is we got 2 national cups at underage last year. So there's tremendous work going on, but it really would be fantastic if we can just get this result tonight. I see that the lads out in front of me are working on the pitch. There was a lot of rain last night, but the pitch is in good conditions. So
is it going? There's no subject. It's not subject to a check of the ground or anything, is it? It's going ahead.
Nothing like that.
Brilliant.
Greg, no. Pitch is grand. Dry night is forecast for tonight. So under the lights, as you know, Finn Park can be a special place. So if we can get the atmosphere going, there's a bit of nerves around, Greg, obviously, and a bit of a tension, but everybody's doing their bits to get ready for tonight with the match night arrangements. So yeah, as you say, I really need the supporters to come, get behind us and get us over the line tonight.
All right, Aidan, good man. Thanks for that. Aidan Campbell, commercial director with Finn Harps. The game is broadcast live on Highland Radio. Obviously, we want as many people as possible to turn up to the ground, but bring your Walkman too, because you can listen to the commentary in the ground if you do get along. So tell us about the coverage tonight, Dermot.
Yeah, Declan Boyle and myself are on commentary. Greg, match starts at 8 o'clock. And I was just thinking when I was coming up here, at the Harps, you see the same familiar faces week in, week out. The core support is always there, and among them, Andy O'Boyle would have been there tonight. Poor Andy sadly passed away yesterday, and listen, on a match like this, Andy would have been there in a seat down below us in the press box. He would always come up and say hello at half time too. So listen, our thoughts are with the O'Boyle family at this sad time. All
right, okay, Dermot. Listen, thank you for that, and very nice words there as well. Okay, that was the voice there of Dermot Doherty, soccer correspondent here at Highland Radio, and he'll be bringing you play-by-play action of that really, really important game for Finn Harps tonight at Finn Park, 8 p.m. kickoff against UCD, and it is it's a must-win, really, isn't it, Jimmy? That's how you describe it.
Yeah, a must-win, Greg. A draw wouldn't be a disaster, but we'll take a win at this stage.
Okay, well, let's not prepare for failure, shall we? Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, more from Michael and Fanula after the break. But before we go into the break, here is your last chance to win 3 tickets into the fantastic Dunlow GAA draw. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, good luck. If you enter, we'll be drawing the winner about 5 minutes after this promo plays.
On today's show, with thanks to our sponsors Dunlow GAA, we're giving 2 lucky winners the chance to win 3 tickets each for the Live Free in 2023 draw. This amazing draw has 5 fantastic prizes, including €500 into your bank account every week in the year 2023 and a luxury 5-night holiday to Dubai. For a chance to win your tickets, simply answer the following question. What are Dunlow GAA's club colours? Is it A, pink and white, or B, red and white. Text or WhatsApp the word hi, plus your answer, name and address to 086 60 20 5000. Standard rates apply.
New this week in Home Store and More. All curtain poles are half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price curtain poles are gone, they're gone. Also, all baking trays and tins and all living room throws are still half price. But when all the half price baking trays and tins and all the half price living room throws are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Shop online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated 130 million euro. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents the world's greatest ABBA show. Direct from Sweden, Arrival, featuring original ABBA musician. Sunday the 8th of January, Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. Follow us on Facebook, Joe Gallagher Entertainment.
Hi, it's Brian Cunningham here from Brian Cunningham Management, and we, in association with Highland Radio, are bringing our Thanksgiving by Candlelight nationwide tour to the Mount Erigal Hotel in Letterkenny, featuring Dana, Chloe Agnew, Brian McGrain, Louise Morrissey, John McNichol and Simon Casey on Tuesday the 22nd of November. Tickets can be purchased from the hotel reception on 074 91 22700 or from the box office on 053 91 27758. Limited number of tickets available for our Thanksgiving by Candlelight nationwide tour in association with Highland Radio.
It's crunch time in the Premier Division for Finn Harps. This Friday they play UCD, knowing a win will take them out of the relegation place with one game to play. A defeat, however, will send Harps to the First Division. Join Dermot Doherty and Declan Boyle for full match commentary from this vital tie at Finn Park Ballabufey. Kick-off at 8 p.m. Finn Harps, live on Highland in association with BNS Credit Union Ballabufey, where the student loan rate is now on offer. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Rightio. Now, sunny spells will develop with scattered showers following this afternoon and evening. Some showers will be heavy, moderate to fresh southwest winds. Highest temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. But if you're in Galway, apparently it's sunny. That's what Fanula's telling us. Fanula, yeah. So, right, what shall we finish on? Both of you have been watching Werewolf on Disney Plus. Is that worthy of our last couple of minutes, or should we switch to something else?
Yeah. Oh no, look at it. People like, and it's very old-fashioned, black and white, and shot in a way that the kind of old Frankenstein, those type of movies would have been done in the past. It's only 50 minutes long. It's kind of a short thing. It is done by Marvel. It is an old comic book that they've resurged. So
is it a film or like? Well, what would is it? What a single?
They're calling it a special. They're not calling it a film because it's only an hour long. It's not even an hour long. So it's almost like a pilot episode for a TV show, but it's not. It's just an hour long. It's like a short movie.
Right. Fanula, do you like it?
Yeah, no, I have to say I did like it. It has a couple of jumps in it. It has it, bits and pieces.
That doesn't mean someone scratches the nose with you and you're like, ah!
That's true. It does. But again, where it lost me was that this is a comic book movie in which it's giving me no background.
I get you.
It drops you straight into it. And if you're unaware of the characters of it, I'm watching this, I am enjoying it, but I don't know why I'm watching it. What is the point of it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a theme. Like I get you.
Yeah, you're sort of in this thing. It's only in the last few seconds that you're kind of figuring out who everybody is and that kind of thing in it. So that was really my reasoning behind it. I know Michael had a completely different thing because, again, this is somewhere that he had watched before.
It's in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I loved this. I mean, I give it 10 out of 10. Critics embraced this. 91% from critics.
Well, I've known one critic who hasn't embraced it, and her name is Fanula Rabbit.
And one of the things that's interesting about this is the director is a guy called Michael Giacchino, and he's a composer. And he was the guy who did the music for TV shows like Alias and Lost. Stay awake, Greg. So he always wanted to be a filmmaker, and this is his first time behind the camera.
That's the interesting thing about it.
It's fascinating, Greg, because I've been a fan of this guy. I would have bought the CDs. I would have loved, like, Alias.
So they made this for you, really?
They made this for me,
No one else. It's just...
But it was great fun. I watched this the night it came out, and I am going to watch it again over the weekend of Halloween because I just loved it. Loved it.
Right, okay. Well, we're not going to get to the end of the programme on that. So I'm thinking 5 out of 10 for you, Fionnuala, 10 out of 10 for you.
Yes.
Oh, no, I would give it more than that now because it's not that I
You
didn't
liked
enjoy
it.
and it's beautifully shot.
Yeah, it's beautifully
and
shot.
Very much in, if you like that old, the old black and white original kind of horror stuff that came up, it definitely has that kind of a feel to it. There's because it's shot in black and white, even with the blood and guts, you're not really getting it full. But the way it just had that really kind of an old thriller sort of a feel to it. So I would give it a bit more now. I would be giving it about a 7.5, 8 type thing.
I'm sure there are people listening that, like myself, in the 1980s, BBC Two, Saturday night at midnight, when I was in my teens, they had the Dracula films, the Frankenstein films, the werewolf films. That's what I was doing when I was 12, 13, 14, and I turned out okay. So I mean, there's going to be people that will like this film for that reason. They'll be like, I used to watch those.
Okay, someone texted in, Dracula's connections are to Sligo and not to Ballyshannon. Leave Ballyshannon for Rory Gallagher, the blues legend. Cue someone texting in from Cork. Right, okay, let me just tidy up some stuff for you here. I want to mention, because we do have some time with Michael and Fionnuala, but I tend then to rush myself at the end. John Breslin is live after 12 o'clock. He is live from Homeland in Letterkenny to celebrate the Unpack Initiative the company's running in association with Donegal Creamery. So if you're in and around that area, call down and say hello to the team. And the winners of 3 tickets each for the live Live Free in 2023 draw. It's Dunlow GEA's fundraising draw, the prizes, and you can get your tickets as well, by the way. Go to liveforfree23.ie or go to the Dunlow GEA Facebook page. The prizes, 5 prizes, winner takes all, €500 in your bank account every week in the year 2023, a luxury 5-night holiday in Dubai. There's also tickets and accommodation for the All-Ireland Senior Football and Hurling finals. We asked you the question, what are Dunlow GEA's club colours? Pink and white or red and white? Today we have a winner. It's red, of course. Winning 3 tickets, Mairead Maguire in McMahon Villas, Letterkenny. Also Mark Friel in Lifford, well done to you. And Seamus Doherty in Moville, you're also a winner. Yesterday's winner was Mary Carr from Fanad. So we'll be in touch with you to get those tickets. Wouldn't it be lovely if one of our listeners who got tickets wins that great prize? Righty-o. Okay, The Thief, His Wife and a Canoe, Virgin One on Thursday. It's a terrestrial sort of a channel, so we might finish that in about a minute and a half, or do you want to hold that off till next week?
No, look at it again. It's on Virgin. That's been on the list for a couple of weeks, so I think it's on maybe the 3rd episode of it, but you can stream the whole lot through the Virgin service, through Sky, through any of your services. Basically, again, Attracted to, it's based on a true story. It's about a very ordinary prison warden who finds himself in debt through kind of a series of different things and decides that he should fake his own death. And so himself and his wife go into this thing. They don't tell the rest of the family and they fake his own death. People may have seen, if you are somebody who watches the news and things like that, you would have seen this came to a very odd conclusion.
I remember the newspaper headlines on it, but not enough that I would, I don't remember enough of it that I think I would enjoy.
I don't want to be talking too much about it because you don't want to give it away for somebody that wants to go into it fresh. But it was only just like about 2 or 3 years ago that the story kind of came to a conclusion. It is, imagine yourself if you decided to fake your own death. This is where you're at.
It's that badly organised.
Yes, this is not somebody that had ties to massive, organizations like you'd see in the movies or whatever that was fake IDing them and all this kind of crap. This is basically if, myself and Michael sat down and went, yeah, we could totally get away with this.
Totally.
You're enjoying it so far? And some people have already watched it because I think it aired on ITV earlier in the year.
It was on earlier in the year. I think it was on around March or April. Virgin seems to be getting a lot of stuff that was on UTV on March or April.
Yeah.
And they had like Holding, the Graham Norton one, which is very good as well. And now they have this. So they've had a few things that are coming up. The one you enjoyed as well, the bomb expert one. What was that? Tipping Point or whatever it was called.
It's all right.
Yeah, they're Virgin are kind of getting them now 6 months later.
Fionnuala, I'm going to have to say enjoy your weekend, and a big hello to everyone in Galway. Thank you so much for joining us remotely. It's very much appreciated. Have a lovely weekend. Okay, take care of yourself. Michael, as always, thank you very much for your commitment in always turning up at the studio. It's greatly appreciated. All right, take care of yourself. Enjoy your weekend. Look for you do. You've plenty to be out. We do appreciate it. All right, that's where we have to leave it.